Well, it's been a lively weekend to say the least here, and now we are back with you all here again. For those of you who were joining us Friday, we had a barn burner of a program, and we were discussing the discount bin, and several people in particular, Erykah Badu, in relation to something that was posted, well, basically herself, period, but also in particular about some pictures that her daughter had posted on Instagram, and there was quite a discussion we had about that. And in an abject lesson to let you know, by the way, you never know who's watching and when they're watching, although I know that folks are always watching and listening. After we did that program, a lot of folks got to talking about it. In particular, her father, none other than the D.O.C. So the word got around, as it does. And as a matter of fact, I think the word's gotten around right now. Is this the D.O.C.?
This is, bro.
All right. Well, sir, we were just doing our introduction about this, so thank you very much for joining us here tonight. To let everybody have a recap about this, I had done on my program last week. We were talking about several people, but in particular, we're talking about Erykah Badu, who was the mother of your child, Puma, and some pictures that were put on Instagram and some of the ramifications of that going on. So that's what we were discussing there. Now, before I say anything else here tonight, because there were some things that were posted online, and I'm going to give you plenty of time, by the way. I just want to do a brief intro about myself, because you don't know who I am, or you might not. I don't ever assume people don't. I was born and raised in Shreveport, so you know the deal with that. By the time when you turn 18, you hit I-20 West, and Dallas is always going to be the Hajj you have to make. I used to live in Addison, Plano, Richardson. So Dallas is my old stomping grounds. So needless to say, you didn't need an introduction for us when you blew up. You are a certified icon in the genre. No doubt about that. So I want to give you your props and respect for what you've done, without question. My program was not a critique on you, and my program didn't have anything really. It wasn't really referencing your daughter either. I want to get to that in a moment, but it was talking about the influences. So before I go any further, let me just ask first of all here. I had seen what you had said earlier, and this will be your chance to clarify that you felt that I had disrespected your daughter with my comments. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to elaborate on that.
Well, brother, first of all, I appreciate you having me on your program. You were speaking about a teaching moment, right? When you were doing this. See, you're right. I didn't know who you were. I never heard of you until you showed up on my timeline, and the things that you said about Badu, I would generally never get into those kind of things because she's a grown woman. She can take care of herself. But what you said about my daughter made me feel a certain kind of way, and it made me respond the way I did. By the way, brother, what is your name?
My name's Jason.
Jason.
Yes, sir.
You married?
No, sir. I've never been married. I don't have any biological children.
That's interesting. So, but what you said about that being a teaching moment, so many people rushed to your defense and said that you were doing a lot of great work on the ground from a grassroots level, and that I must respect and applaud and appreciate. Right? If you go back through all of those texts that I've seen going back and forth with some of your folks today, I tried to make that really clear abundantly every time I spoke. Never said anything negative about you or about your mission statement, because I believe everything has a purpose and everyone has a purpose. So if you are on this uh, that program and you got something to say, then it's for somebody to hear. The reason I'm on your program today is because what you said as it pertains to Puma and those other two babies was something that I needed to hear. So that means maybe there's a teaching moment in this thing for you and I somewhere. So when I jumped on, or what I heard was you were going in on this woman who had 3 children by 3 different men, and because of that, and dating a younger guy who you thought was way out of her league or whatever, and because of that path her life chose, then from your perspective, she's in the trash bin. She's a trash bin a person, and I usually let Erykah deal with her own thing. That's she's a strong woman and she can deal with that herself. But when you start referring to her children as bastards, that rubbed me the wrong way. Now to hear that you don't have any biological children, I can understand why making a comment like that would seem cool to you, right? Now you use that under the auspices that you're trying to teach these other young girls something. And I can applaud you for being someone who wants to teach these babies something. The value of who they are, that they are more than their curves and what this society wants them to be. I can applaud that. Like an old pimp said, it's not what you're doing, it's how you're doing it. And so I want to speak to you on those terms because I think that differently from you, I think that if we are to make it to a certain level in this game of life as a group of people, that we need all of us. We need everybody. And everybody must play a role. And so to be degrading of someone else who has a different life path than yours, because you think that life path is not the right path, is akin, from my perspective, to saying it's really not a God thing. He has nothing to do with it. We doing all of this. That to me is ass backwards, because if anything that happens in this plane has a purpose to it. I lived it, which is why I'm saying it, right? One of the young men that follow you, and I admit, I would expect that it would have to be a young man because of what he said. But I want to read it to you because I thought it was important for you to know that that he is the fruit of your seed that you're laying through this podcast. His name is Blade Black. First of all of these brothers that are speaking to me, really kind of funny style, are black men with the American flag next to their name. Now, I don't know what that means, but the fact that you all got these American flags next to you, your names and your icons, made me feel like, made me feel a certain kind of way, and that's not really my place to say, but it just made me go, you know what I mean? But the young man's name is Blade Black, and he again said what you said. You are a certified icon, but your reckless behavior costed you your well-deserved place in hip-hop. You didn't learn much from your mistakes. Maybe that's why you're rationalizing their behavior. She's 18, 19 with her ass out on social media, and you and Erykah don't see a problem. First of all, the young man don't know how the fuck I felt about that photo. Never bothered to ask me. He just jumped in with his own expectations about me, a man that he doesn't know. That said I didn't learn from the mistakes that I've learned in the past. Now, again, I will reiterate, all is God's will, son. And so the pathway I had to walk that in order to be right here, to have this conversation with you right now. And I thank God for that. I don't blame him or myself or anyone else for my path that I had to walk, because it was mine. And it's going to cause me to be the type of man that can have these conversations and hopefully figure out a better way forward with yourself and all the brothers and sisters out there that I see, that I try to engage with, who are trying to do something for us and our people in a positive way. The issue I had was that the guy don't know me from Adam to know what I said to my daughter. But what I would say to you is, whatever the fuck I said to my daughter, I said that with love, because I have to teach her and lead her with love. That no matter whatever mistake that she makes along her journey, I'm going to be her dad, and I'm going to be here. And if a motherfucker got something to say, excuse my language, if a person that has something to say that's sort of out of bounds, especially if it's a grown man, first of all, I don't want to go too far into that. If I may ask you, good brother, how old are you?
I'm going to be 48 here in a few months.
Especially a grown man to call a 19-year-old child out of her name to make a point, to me, is reckless and irresponsible. But I respect your right to do so. And I don't have anything negative to say about you for doing it if that's your path. What I'm trying to do with this conversation is enlighten you to that there may be a better way to have these conversations with these young folks when you're trying to discourage them from a certain path and enlighten them to a better way, maybe. Like I said, letting these young girls know that they are more than their curves, that they are more than the society is trying to drive them to be, and that only together as a people can we find our way forward in a way that's powerful and positive enough to serve everybody, not just one person's idea of what black folks are supposed to be, although that person's expression of what black folks are supposed to be. I think as men, they told me you get a lot of these young men straight on this page, and I applaud that. I think as men, it is incumbent upon us to go talk to these young men, especially the young men that are in the streets, about their power and who they are and what they represent, and not just fall into the same conversation. What do you want, son?
I want a peanut butter sandwich.
You want a peanut butter sandwich? Okay, give me 5 minutes. I'm in a meeting. I'll come make it.
Come on.
I will be there in just a minute, son. Okay?
I can just get myself.
You can call us back.
No, we're going to finish it.
Okay.
So.
Well, if I may.
Not to.
If I may, I want to address what you just said there, because in this internet age, here's the issue. In this internet age, and like I say, I was in middle school about when your album came out. I remember the transition from the 80s to the 90s, and NWA is a milestone in the music history of planet Earth. And not just because of the music, because of the entrepreneurship, which is what resonated with me the most from a street level. But we also have to understand it's over 30 years since then. So a lot of these kids, young folk on Twitter, they don't know your history or you, and I'm not saying I know you, but they don't know your place in history the way that some of us older dudes do. So let me start with one thing here first. I do not, and I will not endorse anybody coming at you sideways or reckless or crazy, talking any old kind of way. You deserve respect. You haven't done anything to disrespect them directly, so I don't approve of that. To the extent that there might be some folks exercising some excess in zeal, I would tell them to fall back. You're not representing what we do properly. Fall back. This man he hasn't done or said anything deserving of that kind of treatment. So to anyone who has approached you in my name, I'm going to say they need to be respectful to do that. This is not just any old body. This is not just any person. But that also brings me around to your daughter, Puma. I don't think I called her out of her name. However, if I did, let me deal with that to that extent. As you said, that's done from love because I've been doing this now going on 15 years. I've bailed young people out of jail. I'm not going to go down the resume of that. I've done a lot of things in that regard because I don't have any biological children, but I want to contribute. So if I don't have my own, my nieces, my nephews, I try to see everybody that way. Your daughter, as you probably know, by now you can probably figure out, she's not an ordinary girl. She is the daughter of Erykah Badu, but more importantly, she's the daughter of the D.O.C. She's not going to be ordinary no matter what she does. With that backdrop, I feel like, especially as I understand it, you can correct me if I'm wrong, she just turned 18. Against that backdrop.
She's 18, she's turning 19. But that's neither, bro, I don't want to get sidetracked. To me, that's neither here nor there. The one thing that folks would tell you about me is I'm a humble guy. I don't give a damn about none of that star shit. This is about being human beings. This is about being respectful. This is about me being respectful to you as a man. Or if I was talking to some woman, me being respectful to that woman as a human. Or to some child as a 54-year-old man, being respectful to that child. Because that child doesn't have the benefit, like you said, of your knowledge yet. She's just a child trying to figure it out. And so I, as her father, have to guide her with love. Okay? And that's my job. Okay? When you have children, see that is a hill you can die on when you have them. Because now you're talking from a space of knowing. See, when you are married and you're talking about marriage, then you have roots that you can dig into that conversation because you're talking about from a space of knowing. I would say this to you. In a perfect world where all the young black women are acting perfectly, all the young black men are acting perfectly. These folks that are out there killing these babies, they don't give a damn about that. There are bigger things that we could be spending our time as a group battling against rather than calling a woman, dirty laundry bin, dirty bin, something.
Discount.
Right?
Discount.
Do you know how many women in the past 100 years have had 2 to 3 kids by a different person that may have had to work hard all their lives, that they not Erykah Badu, they not rich or have all of that wealth, they just hard-working women.
Right. How well did that work out
in
for
the
you?
trash.
But our question, though, was how did that turn out for us?
Bro, before these women did all of that shit, it was screwed up for us. That what they did didn't screw it up for us. And although you might have a point about course correcting, and putting ourselves in a better position as a group, chastising these people the way you're doing it ain't the way. Because you're going to turn off more people than you turn on. Now, the people that love the clickbait shit, the people that love to hear you talk that noise, they're going to love it. But if they drop the bomb on the next Black Wall Street, what are those people going to do? Run and hide.
I think you underestimate our audience grossly. I think you underestimate it.
How can I underestimate your audience? They're doing it now. Nobody's doing nothing. You're spending your time on the internet spitboxing with these women. But it's grown policemen out there killing men and women. You can spend your time charging those motherfuckers up one at a time.
Yes, sir, and I've done that.
With power.
Yes, sir, and I've done that. I was the guy who bought the billboards in Dallas, Texas, about when Amber Geiger killed both of them. John, I'm the guy out of my own personal pocket. I bought the billboards on 75, 635, and 35 saying, where are all the good cops to talk about the bad ones while she was being indicted, and that was a heavy contributing factor, and they told me to her being convicted. And that's just one I can name. I can actually name others.
This adds to my point, brother. I'm not talking about spit boxing. I'm talking about movements. I'm talking about making a difference. I'm not talking about chastising people. I'm not talking about gathering an audience of people saying and marching and protesting and asking for shit. I'm talking about what are you prepared to do to go out in a blaze of glory, to stand on this shit that you're talking about.
And to my
you're
answer,
not willing to go that.
My answer to that would be, I wouldn't say it on the public internet. That's my response to that. I wouldn't. What I'm willing to do there, I wouldn't announce it to the FBI and the CIA on the public internet.
You said 50 years, brother. You said 50 years. In 50 years, you should have done something besides talk shit about these girls and these women like they nothing because they're not following your traditional pathway. Now, again, I am not totally against what you're saying or the message that's in what you're trying to say. I have a problem with the way you're doing it because you're not doing it to make it inclusive. You're separating the us's from the us's when we are already separated enough. Now you want to go in on the us's that think like you think against the us's that don't. And there's a whole bunch of the folks on this internet, some friends of mine that I know, the Kevin Figaro's and the David Banners and these people that are fighting the good fight, and they are friends of mine who I support, endorse, and walk with and stand next to. My single point to you is you don't have to degrade these people because they don't think like you think. A woman that has had 3 children by 3 different dads is not in the trash bin. I wouldn't give a fuck if it was Badu or whoever it was, because I can guarantee you over the last 50, 60, 70, 80 years, it's a whole bunch of them. You just told a whole bunch of young boys in the hood that their mother ain't shit, that their sister ain't shit, that their auntie ain't shit, because they're not following your pathway, bro. So I'm not telling you not to feel how you feel. That's your prerogative. I'm not telling you not to voice your opinion. That's your prerogative. But my simple effort is to try to enlighten you that there may be a better way to do it.
Well, help me to understand something.
I'm one.
Help me to understand something. Is there a female who is no good, in your opinion?
I don't think my general understanding when it comes to stuff like that is, who am I to judge any person whose path is different from mine? If they are not physically doing something to harm me, then who am I to tell them that they're doing life wrong? Like, that doesn't even make sense to me. You know what I mean? Like, if one of the brothers said, God, it's way bigger than a picture. I have a daughter, and I want my daughter. I'm like, brother, then teach your daughter. Teach her well. Believe in her and let her lead the way. But you're not gonna get a whole bunch of folks to agree with you and ride next to you when you're talking shit about a 19-year-old child as a 40-year-old goddamn man. That makes no sense. And you're not married. Talking about the woman who's never been married, and you don't have any children talking about parenting.
Yes, because I take those
Like
extremely seriously. I take that's the most important decision that a human being will ever make in their lives is to give birth. So I take it very, very super seriously. I would never make that decision willy-nilly because that's the most important decision you'll ever make. That's your legacy. That's your blood. That's everything. That's what will be here when you're gone. So no, if we're talking about marriage and children, I take that deadly seriously.
So the person that doesn't is full of shit and non-deserving of your respect.
No, what I'm saying is that
that doesn't feel.
I'm not saying they're not deserving of respect. What I'm saying is that you and I we both got big long beards on us. And what life, I hope, has shown us is that we've gotten to a point, and I think that's what you're trying to say. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I think what you're trying to say is with your life experience, we've gotten to a point, we've seen enough things, whereas men, we should be speaking from a disciplinarian standpoint, an authoritative standpoint. I know where these behaviors lead. So there are times that I can coddle, but there are going to be times I got to give some tough love. And it is not like you. Mine's from a place of love. It is not from a place of degradation.
You called the lady. You said the lady that she had 3 kids by 3 different babies, so she's in the trash bin. That's a pretty general
Okay, first of all, I didn't say she's in the trash bin. I didn't say trash bin, but
or whatever.
Discount bin, not trash bin.
Discount bin, right? Discount bin.
Thank you.
That's a sweeping statement, and it's really negative, right? It does no good. It would be more, from my perspective, to dig in. Like someone sent me some of your work, and you were talking to these 2 young girls. One of them actually wanted to move to Dallas, and she wanted a luxurious life, and the other was from D.C., and she wanted a pretty stable life. And so the fact that you're able to have these conversations with these young women, and they're willing to get on this channel and address you is important. You know what I mean? I think you have a lot of power and you carry a lot of weight. And so I'm not here to judge you. I am simply here to say to you, there may be a better way. And opening yourself to that may be a better way to show these people that growing and learning is something we can all do.
I agree.
Because if I can learn and grow, then you can learn and grow. If you and I can have a civil conversation, a civil discourse, and find a positive way forward, then maybe these young boys in the streets can do that.
Well, what about the young girls who don't have a father like you? What if they don't have a father like the doc? What if they got a father who's way more wayward? He's not, as stable mentally, emotionally, spiritually. What type of talk do you give them who don't have that? Because that's who I'm aiming it at. What do you do with them?
We got to get out there. I'm sorry, brother. We got to get out there and dig in. You got to put the work in. And you're not going to get it by being negative towards the young kids. Now, I just left a elementary school. I think it's a secondary school. Kids from about 10 years old to 13. Young black and brown babies at a arts academy in Dallas called Martin Luther King in South Dallas. They're trying to revitalize that neighborhood. They want to fix the buildings and make it look all fresh and pretty and shit because that's what they do. Now, my job is to go into these neighborhoods and tell these kids, you can make the buildings pretty as you want. But if you're not willing to go in there and service those people to affect change in them, then they just gonna tear the buildings up. One of the reasons why we burn the buildings is because we don't own them. The neighborhoods aren't ours because we're not affecting that mind state, that change in mental direction, right? And we need to be telling these kids that because they're the ones that are going to be able to get up there and get some of this money in bodies, these facilities, bodies, places, get into these doors that we couldn't get into.
But Doc, when you were 19 years old, would you have listened to that when you were 19?
That's my point exactly, bro. You think they're going to listen to you talking shit to them?
Yes, you know why? Because when I was 13, I listened to you. I listened to Dre. I listened to Cube, and millions others of us did. So, yes, sir.
So if that is the case, then maybe you should make a rap about it. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what you're saying to me. At 19 years old, I didn't know shit. I was trying to make a record that sounded good so that I could have a better situation. Now,
and it was a start
to California.
It was a start that changed all of our lives.
I went to Dallas, Texas, to California. I've never been a thug guy. And so when I got to LA and got introduced to those streets, it changed my whole sort of perspective on how folks do things. And I saw a lot of those guys be bullies and just be negative influences on one another. And it turned out that those negative influences cost us all. Because in those early NWA days, some of us guys were really trying to speak about things that were negatively affecting the neighborhood in a way that we could initiate positive response, that we could come together and battle against the system that is out to disproportionately screw up our livelihood. Now, most white folks now that I see on the internet from the Republican base, they are fed what's called red meat. And when you get on this thing talking like you talking about these women and their children and the trash bin, that's red meat to me. So the people that are attracted to that are going to consume that and regurgitate that. And so you're not going to get us any further with a bunch of young boys out there talking your talking points as if it's doing somebody some good. In fact, the young boy that said that to me on this phone, on this Twitter deal, if he was face to face with the wrong guy and said that, they might hand that boy his cap. Now I don't know if he's a street dude or not. You can't be a street dude slapboxing on Twitter about girls. So the guy must be following you with the intent of trying to be a man that's about change. And I applaud that. I would just say to you, maybe have some, a little more
tact,
responsibility in the direction that you point these boys, because it's important, And so, man, look, I didn't know you before you said something about my daughter's name. And if it had just been Erykah, I'd have let that slide because she's a woman. She can take care of herself. She is one of my best friends. And although I'm not the man of her house, I am a male figure under that roof all the time because my child is there. And she has two other babies there that you call bastard kids. You know what I mean? What does that do to a child that hears that? What does that do to a child in the projects that heard you say that and think of themselves, right? So all I'm asking you, brother, is to give your platform a little more civility, a little more class and direction when you're making these comments, because a lot of people are listening and we all want the best for us. We all do. No one more than me. And I'm here to fight with you, not to fight you. You know what I mean? Because we both got it bad. If you came from the boot, then I know that you've had it similar to me down here in this part of the country. And so if there's one thing that I'm hopeful that we were able to do in this half-hour conversation is to show that conflict resolution exists in a positive way, and we both want the same things, exactly how to get there.
Well, I want to thank you for your time. And once again, I'll go back and check and see if I said something like that. I'll definitely will. If I do, I'll stand behind my words. I'm not here to disrespect anybody. She's 18 years old. So I would never sit up here. I wouldn't want anyone to judge me by what I was doing at 18. And I certainly would not want to sit up here and impugn an 18-year-old. They do things. She's living her life. Let's check back on her in 12, 14 years. She is too young for us to make a value judgment. As you said, she's just a kid.
Well, the thing that moved me, brother, is that I don't consider my daughter a bastard child. And I don't find it cool that you consider her a bastard child. I find that really disrespectful and insulting.
Okay, what would you like us to consider it?
She's just a child, bro. She's just a little girl. I mean, she's a 19-year-old baby this year.
So what you're saying is that you make what you're saying is you make no distinction between whether or not they're born in marriage and whether or not they are not. You make no distinction.
Now, that's another issue I found interesting about your commentary. Because you're on here spitting all of this shit about the white folks and what they're doing, but you're using that white man's piece of paper to justify calling this woman this child out of her name.
No, sir.
I wouldn't give a damn about that piece of paper. I'm going to be her father no matter what. And I say that she's not a bastard child.
Okay, well, before we had... Okay, well, no, I don't rely on, quote, that piece of paper. But what I do rely on is a social convention. Before we had state documented marriage, we had church documented marriage. But the bottom line is that a family starts with a man and a woman, not a woman and some kids. So the man makes a commitment to the woman for the remainder of their lives. And therefore the children grow up under that example. That's not the white man's documentation. That's called civilization.
So everybody outside of that bubble is not civilized. Everybody outside of that bubble, you just painted or doing it wrong.
Then explain one thing to me, and then it'll make sense to me. 7 out of 10 inmates in America are the products of single mother homes. Why is that?
7 out of 10 men locked in prison.
It came from single parent homes. Yes, sir. Came from single parent homes. 70%. Less than 10% came from married homes. Why is that?
So it is your conclusion that if all of these men that are locked up were in dual parent homes, that the system wouldn't be working just as well to lock us up.
It wouldn't be running at a 70%. It wouldn't be running at a 70% rate. No, when you have a man and a woman in the home and the children see their examples.
You can't justify that comment, bro, by your some weird ass analogy. You don't know what these folks are capable of doing. I'll give you another example. You guys are spitboxing on this internet about what should and shouldn't be done, and them folks is storming the White House. That's called fortitude. That means they're willing to do whatever it takes.
How'd that turn out for them?
Talk about it.
How'd that turn out for them?
What do you mean, how did it turn out?
How did it turn out? How did it turn out for them?
Most of them did not go to jail, but a little black dude with a joint is out of there. You're fighting. See, the system that you're fighting don't give a fuck about you. I, on the other hand, do. I'm trying to help you out. But you want to fight me because I don't see the world through your eyes, right?
No, I'm saying look at the results. Just look at the math. I don't want to argue with math. If you could show me math that goes a different way, I'm with it. But if you're saying just rely on faith, ignore the math and rely on faith, that's the part I'm not going to do.
I'm not a mathematician, bro.
You can understand 70%.
I didn't come to argue about math, and I didn't come to argue with you, period. I came to offer a suggestion. I came to do it with love because I have faith in that. I think if you take a better approach, that it could do a better job. If you've been doing it for 50 years and it's not working, then maybe you should take my advice. Whether you do or not is up to you. But the fact that I was able to speak my piece, and we do it civilly and without feeling like somebody's got to fly to somebody's city and stand face to face, which I don't have a problem with. But
well, I don't approve of anybody coming at you sideways. I don't want anybody disrespecting you on Twitter. I want you all, if you're going to express yourselves, but you don't have to do any of that. And certainly don't do it in my name. Brother, anybody doing that, fall back.
Brother Jason, I don't give a damn about those. Most of them are children. You know what I mean? Most of them are young people that are like you said, zealous about your POV. And that's great, you know. But if you don't teach a child how to conversate, at some point that conversation is going to get their ass in a sling. They might not be able to get it out of them, right? And so I see that. I just want to make it clear that I applaud you for the work that you do for the sake of our babies, to put them on a better track and to let them know who they are, how powerful they are, how precious they are, what their worth is. I think that is a beautiful fucking thing. And I really applaud you for doing it. And any time that you could use my voice to help push that message, I'm 1,000% with you.
Well, I thank you very much.
Calling out women for the path that their life is taking would be like the young brother calling me out for the path that my life took. You know what I mean? See, I'm a spiritual guy. I believe that it's all a G.O.D. thing. When I went out there to California, I went out there with a prayer. I told him that if you let me have this, I'm going to let them all know that it was you. It wasn't me. Through that journey, I've learned that I'm still living in that prayer. That now, when these opportunities come my way, I get to tell them who it is. That it's not me. That it's a G.O.D. thing, it's not a D.O.C. thing, right? And that I stand on the belief that if we all conspire to walk this path together, then nobody can hold us back. Nobody. Because everything they have, we've given to them. Either they've taken it or we've given it to them. And we give it to them because we fight amongst each other over bullshit. You know, instead of finding one, I was talking to somebody on one of these kind of platforms the other day about voting, right? And how some folks could give a damn about it. And the guy, his name is Don Lemon. I'm watching the CNN TV show, and Cube is trying to get through these political channels and do what he thinks is right for us to move better, to move forward, right? And the guy, Lemon, was telling Cube, that ain't how we move. And I was thinking to myself, wow, how fucking crude is that? You know what I mean? Like, that's not the way you've been moving. And the way you've been moving hasn't been working. Maybe what this guy was trying to do might have been the key. It may have been, see, most folks at the top of the pyramid see the people at the bottom as a problem because they're not following their path. I think that you can't win without the people at the bottom. You can't change anything without the people in the mud. And you're not going to get those people. You're not going to get those people in the mud by cussing them out. You're not going to get them by telling them how they doing it is fucked up and they're in the garbage bin or whatever the fuck it was. What I'm saying is there's a better way to get your people to come together and think about change. Simply put, I don't want to slap box with you. I don't want to feel like I'm slap boxing with you, the people that rock with you, the black this or the black that or the whatever it is, you know what I mean? Because I'm a believer, bro. Actually, I'm a knower. I know that everything has a purpose to it. I know that. So I know that what you say what you're saying has a purpose to it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be saying it. I'm just trying to let you open your mind to a different avenue, and you can take that or leave it. I'm not going to feel any kind of way about it. You've been a respectful dude to me on this call, and that's all I can ask for.
Well, I thank you very much for that. And once again, no disrespect intended towards your daughter, her siblings, anything like that. My comments are social commentary, but more than anything else, let me drill that point home. No disrespect intended there. My delivery is my delivery, but no disrespect intended at all. I want to thank you very much for your time, for calling in and for weighing in on this, and hopefully we'll speak again someday.
I appreciate you, Jason. God bless you, good brother. You have a good one.
You take care. Well, that was the D.O.C. as promised. Jason, why don't you interject more, because y'all can hear what I got to say for the next 2 or 3 hours. He doesn't have 2 or 3 hours to sit here and speak to you. So I think you all get a whole lot more out of it from hearing what he got to say. Let him say his piece without me interrupting or doing a bunch of interjecting. It's not like I can talk to him all the time. And then you can take it from there. You all know where I stand. You know where I stand on these things. So let me go ahead and reiterate that one more time. Absolutely no disrespect towards his daughter. I'm going to have to go back and see if it went down like that. I'm almost certain it probably didn't, but you all have been listening to me here long enough. Absolutely no disrespect towards his daughter. She's 18 years old. I mentioned it then that if you'll remember, now I do remember this from the program. I do remember in the program that, remember I said that when that picture got put up the first time, that I said, over there in the comments, you can see where the D.O.C., remember I said that before. I pointed this out during the program. I was like, I'm reading between the lines on this right here. He knows he's got a young woman on his hands, but he's got a perspective. I pointed this out then. There is nobody here who does not want what is best for his daughters, his sons. That's what I'm doing this for. I'm doing this because I'm completely invested in that. So if this were my daughter, I got nieces and nephews. If this were my daughter, if this were my daughter or my son, I would hope that there's somebody who can lay it out like that and let them know exactly where it's from. I didn't want to sit up here and tax his time. You heard there was a young boy I think in the background said he wanted the peanut butter sandwich. We didn't turn 5 minutes into 25 minutes, but so apologies, little man. We have a discussion over here. But yeah, man, look here, back in 89, 90, 91, all of y'all who were there and witnessed and lived through the rise of Ruthless Records, there was a reason why that worked. And maybe his perspective on this has, I will say, evolved over time. Maybe his perspective has evolved, but let me just be clear about this. NWA hit because it wasn't the Sugar Hill Gang. I was born and raised in Shreveport, Louisiana. By the time we get to 1991, when they talk about there were 400 killed in Los Angeles, remember Ice Cube said that on the song? I got 400 years for 400 tears, for 400 peers died last year from gang-related crimes. If you'll remember, by the time we get to 1993, my city, Shreveport, Louisiana, was the murder capital of America, not New Orleans. Another city in Louisiana with only a fraction of the population, and we were the murder capital of America, not New York, not Dallas, not LA, Los Angeles, Shreveport, Louisiana. So the Sugar Hill Gang wasn't resonating with us. Shout out to Rob Bass and Easy Rock. I love It Takes Two, but we sitting up here in the murder capital. Then you start seeing the rise. That was back when Master P was still handing out his tapes and CDs and things. That's where we came from. So it wasn't that we went bad. It's that the environment, it's like, hey man, you're not talking to me about where I live. I don't live in Mayberry. I live in the murder capital of America. That doesn't mean I want a bunch of music, quote, glorifying it, but I can't identify Will Smith. I thought I loved him as a rapper back then. I loved him as a rapper, but I identified with the D.O.C. He was the perfect balance of articulate, enlightened, and street. He was the perfect balance. Other folks might have had a gross imbalance. Too Short, in my opinion, was an imbalance. It was just all street. It wasn't elevated and articulate. It was just all street. The D.O.C. was the balance of those things that spoke to a young Jason Black. That spoke to me. It told me where I was, the street, but it also reminded me and informed me of where I needed to go. It reminded me and informed me of where I needed to go. So that's why we listened to that. That's why things changed. And most of you, even though you wasn't in the murder capital at that time, it resonated with you too, because that was more grounded. It more accurately identified your experience. The white kids were listening to that music as escapism. The black kids listened to it because they understood their lives. When Ice Cube made his solo album, yeah, I listened to America's Most Wanted, but most of us, M-O-S-T, most of us listened to America's Most Wanted because he had left NWA for financial reasons. We all knew why he left. It wasn't because he had a falling out or creative differences with the rest of the members. Ice Cube left NWA because finances. So imagine the impact that had on us at 13, 14, 15, 16 years old. We no longer wanted to be famous. We wanted to be paid. And Ice Cube, through his life, but through his music, he made no bones about it. And that's what we picked up. Yeah, it was enlightened, to his degree articulate, but it was street. And he let us know, hey, it's about getting paid. That was what came to us through the music. We learned that through the music, even if you didn't have entrepreneurial parents. Everybody's parents weren't like mine. You didn't come from an entrepreneurial family, so you come from a group of people who got self-employed. So when you went to a job, you thought about being an employee. Listening to Ice Cube was really, in many ways, that was a crash course in business. So where do you think the Master P's and the Birdmans and the T.I.'s got it from? We sat there and watched Cube live it, and then he put it on wax and told us why he was doing what he was doing. Don't tell me the dudes from the street can't influence us. And oh yeah, some of the first fellas yelling nigga on the album. But we're long after Dolomite Red Fox and Richard Pryor. We long after that. But the message got through. Here's the thing right here. You all hear me right here. I am far from one of the most penitentiary people you ever gonna have talking to you. I don't trust people. If they don't got some street in them, I don't trust them. Barack Obama was a squeaky clean Negro. Take a look where that got us. Marion Barry had the street in him. I am a straight-laced dude, and I'm telling you, don't trust no squeaky clean straight-laced dude who ain't got some street in him. You can't trust him. You can't trust him because he obviously doesn't come from your experience. You can't trust him. He's trying to be somewhere else. I didn't say that he can't be, quote, on the team, but he can't lead. I didn't say he can't be on the team, but he can't lead because he doesn't come from the soil. On this screen right here, what you're looking at, 7 young black men, teenagers, remind me of the Black Panthers, but they came from the soil. And that paved the way. If you want to know how it is that throwing money around, Run DMC talked about gold chains, but Ice Cube talked about ownership. Let me say that again. Run DMC, no disrespect to Run. I gotta say that now. No disrespect to Run DMC before they call me up. Before Run DMC calls me up. No disrespect to them. They talked about gold chains, but they didn't talk about ownership. No disrespect to Ice-T. No, I'm not offended. I'm not offended at all. Ice-T said what he said. It's all good. I have no ego to inflate or offend. Ice-T was talking about the money. Sire puts me out with Warner Brothers clout. Got my crew in effect. I bought them new Jags. So much cash, you got to keep it in hefty bags. He wasn't talking about a gold chain. And that got through to us that, oh, there's a bigger thing. Think about that for a bunch of Southern kids who didn't come from a mega city like New York or LA. Think about that. Dallas was much smaller back then. Today is this big, huge metroplex. But back then it was a lot smaller. So if you were a kid from Biloxi, Mississippi, Selma, Alabama, Birmingham, even Atlanta back then, these dudes who came from them places like New York and LA, where there was a whole lot more money, where the trades, kicked off. Hearing that on wax, as opposed to what they telling you. And I'm not saying there's not a place in this world for Sesame Street. I love Sesame Street. But what I'm saying is when I meet adults, I got to talk to you where you are. Does everybody need the same delivery? No, everybody does not need the same delivery. Absolutely not, which is why I don't give the same delivery to everybody. I don't give the same delivery to everyone. But by the same token, people, your voice is powerful. I think he's selling it real short. The voice is powerful. That changed us. It changed me. That was rocket fuel. That was encouragement. That was certification. That was validation. We didn't just know their music. We knew their life stories. Everybody, I'm talking about y'all all over the Southern United States. We all knew the story of Eazy-E, and it paralleled Too Short, bringing it 720 degrees. These were black men on the West Coast who were making their money selling tapes at the time, out of the trunks of their cars. Making tens of thousands of dollars selling tapes out of the trunks of their cars. Down in Louisiana, we didn't know you could do that. We didn't know you could do that. Out the trunk of your car? How you gonna make $100,000 out the trunk of your car? Eazy-E said, watch me. And then he did it. That's why we respected Too Short, even in Shreveport, all the way from Oakland. Parents didn't want you to listen to the music, by the way. But I understood where it was coming from. Do I think 12-year-olds should have a steady diet of Too Short's album? No. Absolutely not. Shouldn't do that. But what I am going to say is for those of us who were in that environment, this was a hell of a whole lot better than what we could have ended up with. At least you had somebody with some sense grounded in the real world. And we learned. You know why? We learned from that. What Too Short say? I got the game from the hustlers, players, and pimps. He got it from black folk making their money on the streets. So when an environment was adverse to you, they showed you, hey, you can be creative and innovate your way around it. That's what we learned from Ruthless Records, Short Dog Records, Death Row. That's what we learned. We learned that. We learned that. Were there some negative things in there? Hell yeah, there was some negative stuff in there. What Cam say? Some life got lost, smoked out, and on fat. There were some things that happened. But on balance, the fact that you have so many young black people who see the music industry as a business, who come in the door talking about masters and publishing, and now because of social media, now they're dealing with the nuances of marketing and promotion. Man, this is the legacy of NWA. This is the legacy of Ruthless Records. A bunch of young folk who were listening to them as kids, and I was one of them. And we've kept that going that, hey, if you in the music business, you ain't got it. Talking about making a value judgment. You ain't got it if you ain't got your masters and your publishing. You got to have ownership. That's going to be Ice Cube's legacy. Ice Cube's, O'Shea Jackson's legacy is going to be that he told young black men getting in the music business, you have to have ownership. That's going to be his legacy, even if you got to get up and walk away. Even if you have to walk away from what seems to be $1 million situation, if you don't have ownership, get up and walk away. Because nothing else will matter. That's the legacy. That's the legacy. That's what I want them to learn. Now, the other thing, as far as delivering, now I'm going to have to just keep it all the way funky. You got hard-headed niggas out here. Sometimes you can talk to them with the soft hand, but let's be clear, folks. In the internet age, you got a bunch of hard-headed niggas. And you got to speak in the language that hard-headed niggas gonna hear. Now, you all can tell that I am articulate and eloquent and erudite. Yeah, that's all great and wonderful, Jason. This nigga over here, hard-head. He doesn't get articulate and erudite. Oh, well, don't worry. I brought something for him, too. I can switch styles. I'm multilingual. And that's the thing I want you all to understand. Are some folks going to be offended? They may. Do I want to be civil? I think I always am. Are we going to please everybody? Not a chance. Have we made a bunch of demonstrable progress? You damn right. And I talk to all of you the way that I would want somebody to talk to my children. I want it to be black and white. Every woman's not good. Let him talk, Jason. Let him talk. Okay. I'll let him speak. Every woman is not good. Every woman is not worthwhile. Every woman is not beneficial. Every woman is not productive. Every woman doesn't have value. There's some women who have lower value than others. Every woman is not made equal. And I'm not even talking about molesting or physically abusing the children. No, just because you don't molest or abuse the children, that doesn't mean you got the same value. It's not the same. All women are not the same. They're not. You can have a belief system. I don't operate in belief systems. I operate in fact systems. I don't operate by faith. I operate by math. So I definitely appreciate, the conversation. I appreciate clearing the air on that. I don't want anybody, fellas, fall back. I don't want them trolling, not the doc, not Ice-T. It comes with the territory. Let me say this. I appreciate your zeal. I appreciate your energy. I appreciate my watchdogs and my guard dogs. Let me say that from the top. I appreciate my watchdogs and my guard dogs. I appreciate y'all. Y'all hold it down for me. Y'all see something going sideways, my watchdogs and my guard dogs, I'm always going to have love for y'all, period. Because in these streets, I got to have watchdogs and guard dogs. I got to have them. But I want you all to understand one other thing here. There's a hierarchy. And the D.O.C. has earned his place in that. He's earned his place to speak. So when you have a meeting of the bosses, I want you all to treat them a certain way. I don't want you treating them like you do your cousin or your unemployed uncle. Let's not do that. There's a way that we approach this. Especially when you're dealing with more high-profile individuals. When you're dealing with more high-profile individuals face-to-face, I'm trying to give you all an example tonight of how you deal with that. I don't want you to sit up here and disrespect the legitimate icons. There's a way in which you handle those things. There's a way in which you handle that. Because remember, folks are watching. You got them alphabet people watching and listening to this broadcast tonight, right now. They sitting here watching and listening right now while we're speaking. So I want you to recognize that when we deal with each other, especially when you're dealing with high profile people, there's a way in which you do it. It's easy. It's very tempting. And I understand it's very tempting to get off zingers. It's very tempting to resort to verbal annihilation. I get it. I understand. You're coming to my defense. Some of y'all are just wilding out, and I don't appreciate that. Some of you are just wilding out. Some of you coming to the defense. That's great. That's legit. I appreciate it. But follow my example. There's a way in which you handle those things. I want folk to see how we do that. So definitely I want you to take care of that as well. No, I'm not offended. No, I'm not offended about that. I saw everything that's been said there. And yeah, like I say, definitely if anything I've said, I will stand on it. But I'll stand on it respectfully. And I don't want anybody to be disrespectful about it. If I see something that's not right, I'm going to call it out and say it for what it is. And then they can speak for themselves. In the meantime, let me go ahead and see if I can open up the phone lines. We got over 5,000 of you in here tonight. So if you are new here to the business, welcome to the program that all your favorite YouTubers love to rip off and hate watch. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we're here. So while you all are here right now, it'll only take you a moment. Go ahead and bust down on that like button as well and hit the subscribe button. I want all of you to be a part of this when we do this every week. And like I say, I was just doing a program here espousing my views on it. I want to thank the Doc for calling in. He's a legitimate icon. He's a legitimate legend. I definitely want to make sure that there's less daylight between us than there's less daylight between us than I think than people might imagine. But by the same token, I got to do the work of the people. By the same token, I have to do the work of the people. I'm out here in the trenches of that. I've got so many, y'all know full well, if I open up the telephone lines and say that every black male, every black female who has doubled their income after speaking to me, call in, the telephone lines to be jammed for the next 3 weeks. You know it. The phone lines to be jammed for the next 3 weeks. After 15 years of doing this. Folks have put in their work, I put in mine. And I respect everybody who's done theirs. Do you know how hard it is to make $1 million in this country as a black man? As a light-skinned black man, as a black male, period. Do you know how hard that is? So when I see a picture or a photograph of individuals who gain millionaire status like that, that means something to me. That means something to me. That counts to me. I'm not going to discount that. That's real talk. It's not easy to do what they did. They still trying to lock folks up today for making music. They got RICO charges on the next generation. With NWA, they arrested them for going into concert. Today, they are giving them RICO charges after the fact behind their music. You know how hard that is? You know how difficult that is to be able to accomplish that? So definitely, and that's something I've told you all for years and years and years. I respect any black man who can make $1 million legit. That's not easy. Now I want us to move on to the next step. So what we're going to do here now is I'm going to go ahead and open up the telephone lines. I got folk on the phone lines right now. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933, your personal access code to the business. I want to send a shout out here to Ronnie and in the super chat. Thank you very much for your support tonight. We appreciate that. And to everyone else who has contributed on PayPal, CashApp, Venmo, thank you very much for your support tonight. We're going to go ahead and take some phone calls here. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and open up Zoom as well. We give priority to Zoom. I give priority to my Zoom calls. So I'll go ahead and throw up the link on Zoom. I'll put that in the chat room for you here, so you can go ahead and see that. Let me get caller from area code 646. You're on live with the business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
TBA Anthony from Queens, New York.
Anthony from Queens. What's on your mind?
You know, I could appreciate the D.O.C. coming on, you know, feeling that he might have been slighted and whatnot with what you said, but I don't respect when people embellish what other people say. You know, he came on saying that you called his daughter a bastard and that you said she was part of the trash bin, even though, you know, I listened to her broadcast. Everyone listens to her broadcast. He didn't say that. You know, when you come to an argument, you have to argue in good faith. And, you know, as much as I respect the D.O.C., I don't think he came to argue in good faith. And that's like the issue that I had with him and what he said.
Well, definitely, like I say, I tried to straighten that out a few times. But you all got it, and that's an important thing for me. I hope his daughter gets it, because I'm trying to deal in everybody's best interests. I want to deal in their best interests. What worked, my point is, what worked for your mother might not work for you. What worked for your mom might not work for you. The things that your parents were able to do and get away with, that might not work for you. That's not a belief system. That's a fact system. We can't deal in our emotions as men. We can't be in our emotions. The things that work for the mother may not work for the daughter, and you want to make sure they understand, hey, this is the way that the response in the real world is going to be. And deal with it from that standpoint. Because you can't guilt the male population into doing or wanting something that they don't want. And, you know, he's like, hey, he doesn't deal with that star stuff. You know, I mean, his daughter's got a pretty sizable following on Instagram, so she's already off to a start. I hope she's very successful in whatever endeavors she wants to do. I also want to make sure that she doesn't have to face any unnecessary headwinds, because the bottom line is men in general, what I'm saying, that's where men are coming from. That's where men are coming from. And I don't want them to have misconceptions and think that what they saw their mother do, they're going to be able to do themselves. Men in general are not going to respond the same way. Or worse, you just get the same response. I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah, man, Jason, keep doing what you're doing. We all know what you're trying to do. You're trying to set, you know, the community straight and whatnot. So it's going to be tough, but, you know, it has to be done. And I think you're the man to do it. So B1, thanks a lot, man.
B1, brother, thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me get caller from area code 702. You're on live with the business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, this is Regina from Las Vegas.
Regina from Vegas, what's on your mind?
I'm way too young. I'm 25 to know who exactly the D.O.C is, but I would like to say I did not agree with how he was saying how you should be nice, because, you need to drop the hammer. And on a lot of women, they are too fucking hard-headed to not understand you're in a delusional fairyland. The way you've gone and what you had in your life, baby, that did not work out. And someone like you and other people need to hold women accountable. Like, no, baby, you failed. No, you screwed up your youth. You actually got some work to do. However, you better hurry up and put a move on it. And that's
that can be a hard pill to swallow. And there were folks who were telling me, in my messages and stuff that, he's basically defending his choices. And, people are prone to do that. But at the same time, we got to take a look and see, as I kept saying, what was the result? How'd that turn out? How did that occur? How did that break down for us? Did it take us where we were looking to go, or did it take us somewhere we didn't want to go? Oh, well, don't you know these folks can do X, Y, Z? Yeah, but the kids raised in single parent homes are easy prey. They're easy targets. They look for children who are by themselves. You take a look at these schools, they target the single mother children. They're far less likely to try that when there's a man in the home taking responsibility. They're far less likely. White supremacy is a cowardly system. It goes for easy prey. It goes for easy targets. Even if you want to believe that most of the black males in prison are there unjustly, most of them are there as the children of single mothers. They know they know who they're going after. They obviously know who their target is, and it's working. It's working fantastically. So
there was a young
being
boy
split by yourself, that's going to be a problem. I'll let you have the last word.
No, because my mentor actually put me on to you, and just hearing you talk, especially when you get on the Passport Bros, because the manosphere talks about, go ahead, Passport Bros, find a new woman, and you're like, no, you need to build and provide and get yourself together. And also, you can't be nice to certain people. You got to talk to them a certain way. And also, like you said before, how can you address a problem if you don't acknowledge that you have one? So thank you for that.
Thank you
really
very much for giving the call.
Generation.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much for giving us a call here. And definitely, like I say, you all know me. I'm not some, dude who's speaking a bunch of street slang and things like that. But I understand the necessity of being able to talk to people at where they are. Let me get caller from area code 646. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, peace, Jason. This is Clark calling from Harlem.
All right, Clark from Harlem, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I really appreciated the show. I think it was a lesson for everybody, and I really appreciated you standing your ground and the way that both of you spoke. I thought it was a good example to a lot of the men in the community as well. I disagree with D.O.C. from the standpoint. I respect him, speaking up for his children, but he didn't want to. It sounded like he didn't even listen to your show. That's number one, and it's kind of like he was getting feedback from people, and he didn't want to address the issue with the picture that you were discussing. And the issue and the example that was being said, I don't really think that he took that into consideration. He just was, I understand him respecting, wanted to defend his daughter, but at the same time, you weren't discounting Erykah Badu as a person, but you were saying, she has limited, options because she's setting an example for a lot of other women in our community.
Right, but like I say, I think that I do believe he listened to it because he said he did. So I do believe he listened to it. And another program, because he was mentioning one of my other programs I did with the two 18-year-olds. So I do think he has listened to it. But here's my thing, brother. Here's where we diverge. When I say, are there any no good women? And the answer is, well, if they commit a crime. This is where we're going to have a split. Because no, the standard isn't have you committed a crime. That's not what determines your value, which is as long as you're not in violation of the criminal code, then you're good. That's not the way it works. That's not the way it works. The standard isn't if you can end up in court over it. So When I'm saying that the standard is the principles of your behavior, and somebody else says the standard is, well, does it violate, can the police put you in jail for it? There's a whole lot you can do to your children that will mess them up for the remainder of their days, and nobody will be able to fix them, that are perfectly legal. Shout out Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union. I'll let you have the last word.
No, great show again, and I really appreciate you standing your ground. Both of you having a respectful conversation, even though you disagree with one another. Peace.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me see here and check. I thought I had... Did I have somebody on Zoom? I thought I did. Okay, I don't. All right, let me get caller from area code 267. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yes, this is Tammy calling from Pennsylvania, Williamsport. How are you?
What's on your mind, Timmy?
Yes, I think that was a great interview. I think he had a lot of pushback only because you were talking about his daughter. I could understand how he felt, but the problem with that is he has to understand his daughter put herself out there. And once you put yourself out there, it's not like she's living a private life. Once you put yourself out there, you put yourself out there to get scrutinized by other people. Another thing is,
well, let me go ahead and address that like I did before here. And if you're coming in on Zoom, just stay on Zoom. I'll get to you. Let me go ahead and address that again because I addressed it before, but let me go ahead and address that again. I wasn't the only person. I mean, there's been articles all over the place. That's the reason we were talking about it. There were articles all over the place and are all over the place because a lot of people considered it to be very inappropriate. I was not taking issue with the daughter. The program is named Erykah Badu. I'm not taking issue with the daughter. I was taking issue with the mother. I never said my comments were not directed at the daughter. I see what the daughter's doing is following the example that's being set and being encouraged. So once again, I said it to him. Let me repeat this again. I wasn't talking about the daughter. I was talking about the mom's behavior. Now, to be fair, he also raised issue with that, as you heard. He didn't think that was legit either. He thought that was a fine thing. So, like I say, there's not a lot of misunderstanding about it. I think it's actually very clear cut in that regard. All I'm saying to folks is when you take a look at what the end results are mathematically, the receipts are already in. We don't have to have any more talk about it. The receipts are already in. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 240. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello?
Hold on. Caller from 240. Just stay on the line here. Let me see if I can get, we got a caller on Zoom. Go ahead and, you can turn your audio and turn your camera on there on Zoom. And you can go ahead and do that now. So remember, if you don't have everything on, we're going to just think you're trying to troll, which doesn't work very much well here. So you definitely want to make sure you have everything on. If you're on Zoom, Zoom is not for audio. Zoom is for video. If you are not interested in being on video, that's not what Zoom is for. If you just want to talk on audio, you can go call in on the telephone number. I'll give you 5 seconds to go ahead and turn your camera and things on. If you don't, we're going to remove you. So I can give you a few seconds here to go ahead and do that. Zoom is not for audio. Zoom is only for video. Okay, somebody is trying to do something here tonight, so gonna have to go ahead and remove you. Okay, let me get the phone lines. If you're on Zoom, just go ahead and stay on Zoom. Let me get caller from area code 240. We'll try you again. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello?
Yes, you're on. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Oh, I'm sorry. This is Rosie calling from Maryland. How are you?
Okay, what's on your mind?
Are you a fan of Umar Johnson and Sansa Ray and Crystal Swirls and Obsidian? Are y'all kind of connected together, or are you your own, I'm trying to figure it out.
Have you ever heard me associate myself with any of those names you just mentioned?
No, I haven't.
Okay, then that then that answers your question. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 901. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, caller from 901 is working in the back of the restaurant. Caller from area code 706, you're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Mark from Auburn.
Mark from where?
Auburn, Georgia.
Okay, Mark from Auburn, Georgia. What's on your mind?
Appreciate the broadcast and everything. I do feel like these conversations be very helpful. And I remember from the times I was growing up, I think about the music I listened to, and I was always trying to find the people that was trying to give me some direction, and I always tried to watch the actions that they did, because I was told early on that that's what you do. You don't just watch what they say. And then I didn't start listening to D.O.C. until like recently, but I always thought about him being one of the pioneers, and just to keep it short, I thought about the people he had got involved with, and I also thought about Andre 3000. I always questioned, how come it seemed like it would always get harder as you got older to stay true to the words that you spoke? Coming from somebody that's like seeing their own struggles as a youngster in some kind of ways, but also seeing other folks make their own justifications for kind of going back on their old words. And then doing a lot of history research, it seems like there's a lot of different things at stake. So I asked that to ask you from the standpoint of knowing that you've gotten to a point where you have a lot to risk and making sure that you don't just rest on your laurels.
Well, like I say, if you see the world at 30 the way you did at 15 years old, something's wrong. And if you see the world at 50 the way you did at 30, something's wrong. So I don't have necessarily an issue with someone who grows and evolves. That I don't have a problem with. That's natural. I will say that if your growth starts to distance you from objective, concrete reality that you can touch and feel, if your growth begins to distance you from mathematics, then I'm going to say that's an issue. If your growth and your evolution does that. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. If you're on Zoom, please remember, if you're going to be on Zoom, you're going to need to turn on your audio and your video. So if you don't do that, we're going to have to remove you. Caller from area code 804, you're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay. Caller from 804 is trying to recalibrate their CPAP machine. Caller from area code 513, you're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
My name is Jones. I'm calling from Wilberforce, Ohio.
All right, Jones from Wilberforce. What's on your mind?
First of all, thank you very much for your broadcast, and thank you for the work that you do. I'm actually a first-time caller, but I've been listening for a while, and I would be one of the people that would call in and say that you definitely helped me. As we speak right now, I'm driving down the road. I got my CDL late last year, and just by getting my very first job, which I'm still working right now, I've doubled my income. So thank you very much for that. Given the subject, I'd like to ask, does this seem like, with your call with the D.O.C., this would be another example of why we as black people cannot afford to trust our entertainment class?
Well, definitely, you don't want to be led by them. Absolutely not. We don't want to be led by them. They can have a say. The entertainment class can certainly have a say. However, as far as bestowing leadership status on your entertainment class, just keep in mind, nobody else does that. So what I will say is I wouldn't want to do that, because what they are is artists, okay? They're artists. That's great. That's wonderful. Art has a purpose in this world. Art is supposed to show man an idealized version of himself. So art serves a very powerful, very essential purpose. What you don't do is give default leadership status to the celebrity classes.
Correct.
We don't even have an entertainment class anymore. In Western society, it's been elevated to like this deity thing of a celebrity class. And no, you wouldn't want to do that either. Now, if they have something to say and something to add, sure, but they should be allowed to do like everybody else. Earn the right to do so. Every rapper, there are some rappers who got some knowledge to kick that's otherworldly. Then you got some of them who they need to be speaking through a straw. They really don't have anything to say, and they don't have anything to contribute. So they should be allowed the opportunity to speak and make their case to be listened to like anybody else. That's the way it should be. Okay. No default status. It's great you got celebrity, but as far as talking to those of us in the field and those of us in the soil, you have to earn that like everybody else does.
Okay.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get a caller from area code 701. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, this is Ray calling out of Fargo, North Dakota.
Okay, Friday out of Fargo. What's on your mind?
Well, I will keep this short and sweet. This was a very enlightening conversation. I think it was very respectful. I just have a few points to touch on. The first point that I would touch on is, just as far as him saying the audience that you can reach. I know that, like you said, as far as rap music, that music that NWA, brought to us versus, like you said, Sugar Hill Gang, totally different audiences. If you think of the audience that Malcolm X was able to reach versus the audience that Martin Luther King was able to reach. Same, mission, just brought to you in different ways. I also think about how back in the day, grandmothers, grandfathers, the way they brought things to us, they didn't sugarcoat things to us. And I think that we have to understand that everything isn't going to be sugarcoated. Now, I understand he was offended because that is his daughter. He might have felt some type of way, but it kind of goes back to something that we always talk about on this channel. I'm a single mother. I don't get offended by the things you say because I'm accountable. So being a single mother, that's not good. Like you said, those are things that can ruin a child's life forever because our children are, they're just basically sacrificial.
Well, you make a very good point about Dr. King and Malcolm X, because if you notice in the 70s, we get to the Panthers. Wasn't nobody listening to the heirs of Dr. King by the time we get to the Panthers. They watched what they did to Dr. King. They watched what they did to Medgar Evers. They watched what they did to Emmett Till, to Goodman Chamberlain and Schwerner, and to countless other martyrs. So by the time we get to the 70s, there's not an appetite for that. Now, fast forward 40 years, there's no appetite for the reverends today. Anybody trying to do their impersonation of Dr. King today it's gonna fall on deaf ears. The young people today aren't trying to hear that. That's not going to get their attention even a little bit. When they got mobilized in the streets, they got mobilized by the folks who were talking at the street level. They got mobilized by that. All the academics and the scholars and the preachers, trying to get their slot on CNN or Face the Nation. The thousands of people, tens of thousands around the country and around the world who rallied in the streets, those weren't the folk who got them out there. Those weren't the people who got them on the streets. It was the folk at the street level, not the academics, not the clergy. So even if you had a Dr. King today, that the street's not listening to that. You got to talk to people where they are. And I'm saying this is where it's at right now. If the audience was in a classroom somewhere at Harvard, that's where I'd be. And that's what it would be. And I do bring some of that to what I do, absolutely. But the audience is on the street level. The audience is in the street. The audience is on Instagram doing what they do. Mm-hmm. So that's what I was saying. I think he underestimates the value and where they are at that. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 256. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, caller from area code 256 has been abducted. Caller from area code 279. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Dicey out of Sacramento.
All right, Dicey out of Sacramento. What's on your mind?
I thought he was cool, but at the same time, I didn't understand his where he was coming from because he was playing both sides. It seemed like he gave you your flowers and told you were basically right in calling his daughter out, but at the same time, he was saying, don't judge her so hard, be softer on her. And it's like he doesn't understand. People don't listen. People are hard-headed, and especially our community right now, we're in a big hole, and it's not going to take, anything easy or being soft that's going to pull us out of this hole. So I think we're in the age of accountability right now. He talked about Black Wall Street. It might have started by faith, but Black Wall Street was built by accountability. The bankers being there every day at work, hard work, and if someone did something wrong, someone had to lay into them. So I just think that him playing both sides in the long run was a negative, because we end up nowhere, if you just want to go soft on people, and we can't sacrifice our community to be nice to his daughter, because we don't want to hurt his daughter's feelings. She posted those photos.
Well,
and,
here's the thing.
Walk like a duck, it quack like a duck.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Beyond just that, like I said, that wasn't. I tried to correct him on that. I'm not going to go back and forth a bunch of times with him. But what I'm saying is my comments were very clear about where that comes from, where that stemmed from. I made it very clear then. So that's why the other caller was saying maybe he didn't listen to the program. Well, I'm pretty sure he did, but maybe he kind of skimmed through it, because I made it very clear what I was speaking about. I didn't have a 3-hour program about the daughter. I had what I was focused on is in the title of the program. So if we're going to try to defend that angle, the problem is you're going to have to venture off into non-judgmentalism, moral relativism, and only God can judge me. Well, if only God can judge us, we need to empty the prisons. If only God can judge us, then we don't need to have fences or front doors with locks on them. If only God can judge us, we shouldn't leave our car doors locked or closed, because only God can judge whether or not your car needs to be stolen or your kids need to get took out. So if that's going to be the way it is,
why do anything? Just have faith.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So faith, that's not my thing. That's not my thing. I don't do the faith thing. I do the concrete, tangibles thing. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get call from area code 305. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Peace, Brother Black. This is Bobby Drake out of Miami, Florida.
Bobby Drake out of Miami. What's on your mind, brother?
Just want to say forgive me in advance for my audio. I'm currently driving and trying to not catch a felony or bid and miss the program. But really quick, I just wanted to say, first of all, excellent broadcast. And for all those who were not entirely sure whether or not the program has an impact or just who all has ears to the streets and is listening, this should be an example that you definitely are touching earlobes and you're touching eyeballs from coast to coast and internationally. So as you are prone to saying, this is not a little thing. But I'm not trying to cape for the D.O.C. or anything, because I'm definitely rocking with the points that you were making and trying to bring to his attention. But we also have to be mindful of people's experiences and where they're coming from. D.O.C. was born and raised in the hood. And so when he's speaking on things, the perspective he has, he's coming from a hood mentality where in the hood it's primarily about survival. It's about making it out. And he and his friends were fortunate to be able to use their talents and use their skills to be able to go ahead and not just survive the hood, but to thrive and to make it out. But all the upbringing, all the culture that comes with being in survival mode, that's baked and steeped into him. So when you're talking about concepts like bastard baby making and creating single mothers and single fathers and broken homes, these are things that are commonplace in those environments. So for him, even though he may have some understanding that this isn't the ideal situation, that this isn't the thing to strive to, there's a lot of weight that has to sit on his shoulders, especially being older, being exposed and seeing things. There's a lot that has to come into play with that. So there's a lot of conflict between what you're saying that he might know.
I want you to understand something.
Right, but at the same time, he doesn't want to own that.
I hear it a little bit differently here. And what I hear is he's older now. Now, I'm not a whole lot younger than he is, but he's older now. That's why I made the point that, hey, we over 30 years from, Ice-T and Power and NWA straight out of Compton and the D.O.C's. No one can do it better. We're over 30 years out from that now, y'all. Over 30 years. A bunch of y'all listening weren't even born when these albums came out. So this is like me with Jackie Wilson or whatever. Y'all weren't even born when these albums came out, a lot of you. So if you don't just go back through the crates and get a formal teaching and upbringing of it, you don't even know who these people were. So when you add to that, there's been over 30 years of history. In some people's cases, that's a lifetime. Some folks, that's double their lifetimes. I'm just saying, just take it from their perspective. I mean, I'm looking at that perspective, and from the way I've seen it, he's gotten older. Just plain and simple, he's gotten old. That's why he asked me, was I married? Did I have kids? They're at a different point in their life, because all them men, I got them on the screen right now, Snoop Dogg, Dre, D.O.C., all of them got kids. All of them got kids. Some of them been married. 2 of them been married that I know of. I don't know if the D.O.C.'s ever been married, but they all got kids. 2 of them been married. So remember, Dre made a song talking about somebody trying to come at him. Just remember, you messing with a family man. So I think that's the perspective on this. They've gotten older. And it's good if they've gotten older and they've become more introspective. That's a good thing. Absolutely. We need to let them know where ground zero is. We need to let them know, because the next generation has to take the steering wheel. So that's why it's important for us to be respectful of those who are worthy of it. They put in their work. They blaze the trail. That's good. Now we got to let them know, hey, this is where ground zero is. This is where you let us know where ground zero was in 89 and 90. I'm letting you know where ground zero is in 2023. This is where it's at now. And they'll acclimate. Understand something. And that's the interesting thing to me, is that, by the way, these were the guys who, I mean, even today, you can't play their lyrics on the radio. The stuff that made them famous, you can't play it on the radio or on TV. So I'm a little bemused. Look it up. I'm a little amused by the fact that, these guys who I grew up listening to are telling me that my language is too harsh. And you can say what I say on network TV. You can say what I say on the radio. So I'm a little bemused about that. I guess, if you live long enough, you'll see some of anything. But I find it very interesting that they consider what I say to be, what I'm saying is controversial. And I'm like, I can't even, some of the titles of some of y'all's songs, I can't even say. And they're 30 years old. So that's what I'm saying by, maybe they've just gotten a little bit older. I'll let you have the last word.
No, you said it absolutely well. You set you let it, the D.O.C., and you set the record straight on what the standard is, and making it plain that it's about correction, and you stood for that, and especially because he was coming at you. Obviously, you can understand where the concern would be, where some offense could be taken. But because, I think largely because he came from a respectful place, he was actually seeking a dialogue and not to just argue or undercut you or belittle you. You all were able
I would have let him do that.
Able to make your case.
I would have let him do that, by the way. If he just wanted to call in and ball me out, I would have let the D.O.C. do that. Please. I would have let that. Is the D.O.C. How many opportunities in your life do you have to let the D.O.C. do a diss track on you? How many opportunities am I going to get to do that? So, hey, brother, you can hang a feather on this one. Jason, he was saying this. What if they came in and disrespected you? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Please. What the hell I got to be upset about?
That's very gracious of you.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Are you kidding me? Think I'm going to be upset about that? Sir, can I hand you the pen so you can write a song? Would you like me to pay for your studio time? I'll pay for the studio time and the marketing. What are we gonna call the song? And another thing, Jason Black, just as long as you put my name in the title. Are you kidding me? I should be so lucky in one lifetime. That would be my Jordan moment right there. I really don't think there's anything else I can do. I'm going to retire. There's really not anything else I could do. There's really not anything else I could do. I feel like I've done it all. Let me get call from area code 937. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Jamal from Dayton, Ohio.
Jamal from Dayton. What's on your mind?
Yeah, see, listening to this, it kind of put me in the mind of don't hate the player, don't hate the game, blame the coaches. Because it's like he's looking at it from a point of view because it's his child. I understand that. Any parent will. But you can't neglect what other people seeing from the people that's raising your kid. Because like you said, you never said anything about his daughter. And from your previous episodes, you said you're trying to give us younger generation the information so we don't make the same decisions that the older generation made.
Yeah, like I say, I mean, and it can be harsh sometimes because in a lot of cases, they're insulated. I think, and like I say, I'm trying to be tactful and diplomatic about this. You know, I meant what I said. His daughter's got a rather sizable following on Instagram. She's only 18 years old. But if you're the daughter of the D.O.C. and Erykah Badu, unless you live under a blanket, that's going to happen. And very clearly, her goal was to make a name for herself and to get attention on herself. That certainly, I said that last week too. I said clearly this was a attempt to get an attention. Mission accomplished in that regard. I don't wish any ill on her. She's 18 years old. I don't hold it against her, period, point blank, end of discussion. I don't hold any of that. It wasn't about her. I talked about the Instagram thing and moved on to something else. So it wasn't about her, but he took offense on both sides. So let's be clear about that. He didn't miss that. He took offense on both sides. So my thing about it is I'm not here to buy a billboard talking about everybody go diss Erykah Badu. It's not going to happen. I'm not here to demonize anybody. It's a teaching moment, though. It's a teaching moment. It's important not only for the daughter, but for Erykah Badu and for any other female that might follow in Erykah's shoes or in her footsteps. It doesn't end well. That was the point of the program. It doesn't end well. Yes, right down to the 27-year-old in the house. It doesn't end well. It doesn't end well. How do you go from Andre 3000 to this 27-year-old dude? How does that happen? So I'm sending this up as a cautionary, her and the D.O.C. and myself. I'm giving out a teaching moment here. Now, it might be hard to hear for some folks because, you know, it's in their wheelhouse. It's where they live. This is their experience, and I get it. But that doesn't make it any less necessary to talk about. Young women need to hear, by the way, there's a life lesson here to learn. I'll let you have the last word.
Hey, Justin, I got another question from what you just added on. Do you think maybe the reason why he feels the way, because like you saying, you can see the steps that's going to end up leading that person to that. So do you think somewhat he already see the steps, but the fact that you brought it up is kind of like, oh, other people see that you going down a razor blade slope if you don't alter what you're doing?
I'm taking him at his word, and based on what I heard tonight and what I've seen, I have little reason to doubt it. I think he's taking all this on faith. Don't worry, everything's going to be fine. I really, based on what I heard tonight, I really do believe that's the angle he's coming at it from. That he's just got faith that everything's going to be okay. Now, if you are a person like that, then of course, listening to me, I sound like a raving madman. I sound like this radical, reactionary lunatic. Of course I would, because I'm not taking anything on faith. And he's like, hey, I know the whole plan. I got it on faith. And I'm over here like, Faith, what are you talking about? And so from his perspective, of course, I'm overreacting. Once again, ironic, considering the fact that I listened to these guys over 30 years ago. And now I'm the radical one. 30-something years later, I'm radical. But I take him at his word. He's taking this on faith. That's when he talks about God and where his life has led him and how he sees things today. And after some of the wild times these dudes have been through, yeah, they want to chill at this point in their lives. I get it. I got it. I'm all for it. 3 thumbs up. But I don't take things on faith. I just don't. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from, let me see here. Wait a minute. I had somebody on Zoom. For folks who are trying to get in on Zoom, by the way, Zoom is for video. Zoom is for video. I will say that again. Zoom is only for video. If you're not going to get on video, do not call on Zoom. You can just call on the telephone number. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. And by the way, I'm hoping that this can be a teaching moment for everyone. I want this to be a teaching moment for everyone. It's good to have a discussion like this, to be able to, talk to the D.O.C. and things. It's good to be able to do that. But I want this to be a teaching moment for everyone here involved. To start seeing things a little bit differently. We can listen to what folks have to say. Don't judge, but don't judge it out of hand. At least let them say what they're going to say. So even if you're going to disagree, make sure you've listened so you at least know what it is you disagree with. That you have a firm grasp on what it is you disagree with. He made a point that, hey, while we're worrying about this little stuff here, well, you know what? He's absolutely right. A picture on Instagram, man, they're talking about World War III over there in Ukraine. Yeah, you're right. A picture on Instagram isn't everything. But then again, by that definition, police brutality isn't everything either. Corrupt politicians aren't everything either. World War III is a lot, but it's not everything. It's a whole lot, but it's not everything. So by that, if we can say, hey, there's small things out here. Yeah, by that definition, there's always something bigger, and there's always something smaller too. There are things a lot more inconsequential than pictures on Instagram. There's that too. So if we have the standard of, there's bigger fish to fry. Yeah, there's also smaller ones we can put on the Barbie too. Let me get caller from area code 636. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from? Turn off your speakers.
My name is Arlen White. I'm calling from St. Louis, Missouri. Original place is Anchorage, Alaska.
Okay, Arlen from Anchorage. What's on your mind? Turn off your speakers. Last
First
try.
Of all, thank you for this broadcast.
Okay,
and
turn off your speakers. Last try. You have us echoing. Turn off your
apologize.
speakers.
I apologize. I do apologize. Okay. Am I clear now?
You're slowing down the program. You better be lucky the D.O.C. was on tonight, because ordinarily I'd be dropping calls left and right. What is on your mind?
What's on my mind is that listening to this broadcast, I had a part of where D.O.C. was saying anything. I did disagree when he pointed out that the issue was separating from us. So I'm like, so why is it a problem from separating from us? If we're trying to eradicate a problem, then we got to eradicate a problem within ourselves.
Well, because if you're coming at this
if we're not going to go back to,
if you're coming at this from a spiritual perspective, then that would be wrong. So if you're coming at this from a faith-based and spiritual perspective, you're talking about quote unquote unity. You're not talking about empowerment. You're talking about unity. And
right.
If your principle is unity by any means necessary, then by definition, you're going to not really rule out anything. Now you slide off into don't
right.
be judgmental. And next thing you know, you got people outright working against you sitting next to you. That's not
right.
organized in any way, shape, form, or fashion for empowerment. But once again, as I say, if you're looking at the world from a, quote, faith-based perspective, that I just trust and believe everything's going to turn out all right on its own. That if you're coming at it from that perspective, then yeah, that makes sense. That definition of, quote, unity at all costs.
It sounds good.
Yeah, that makes sense. The problem is, does it make math? And I don't think it does. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 804. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
My name is Cassie, and I'm calling from Virginia.
All right, Cassie from Virginia. What's on your mind?
Well, there is a video on YouTube, and it's about a young lady who did an act. I'll just say an act that she shouldn't have done. This is her boyfriend or whoever, and he put it all over YouTube of what she did. And I appreciate what you're saying, because these things that these young girls do have consequences. And I'm going to tell young girls this. You can't do everything under the sun. Men want women, even the worst of man wants a woman of value. To say he got something, worth something. And that's all you're trying to tell them. And I knew that way back, because I had, and one other thing, these mothers, okay, stop acting like you're a damn child. Stop acting like you're a child. You're too old for that crap. It was one woman, Jason, she's in the bathtub with a dang stripper pole. She's running her big butt on the stripper pole, and the stripper pole fell down and she fell in the tub. I'm saying to myself, what in the world? They have no mentors.
Like I say, definitely, this is the reason why I'm saying in this day and age, that's exactly what we're trying to prevent here. And we got a straw boss on it hard for that. Thank you very much for giving us a call here. I didn't mean for the emphysema to kick off. So, we got a caller on Zoom over here. So, caller on Zoom, what is your name? Check your audio. Okay, caller on Zoom was on Zoom. He hung up apparently. So, see if you can try to call back. He was on. I guess folks, if you're going to be on Zoom, please keep in mind, Zoom is for being on video. If you just want to be talking on audio, you can call the phone number. Let me get caller from area code 415. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Don P. calling from San Francisco.
Don from San Francisco. What's on your mind?
Yeah, man. That's pretty heavy. I had to go back and.
Okay. Don's call disconnected. I hope them folks didn't get him. Caller from area code 727. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Sunny in Tampa. Really great and important conversation, Jason. I've been listening to you for years. I'm the same age as you. I'm a dad. I got a girl. And he was in an impossible situation. Just impossible, because I share the same values as you. However, with the perspective of having a daughter, and so I would handle her offline and then do my best to deal with the reality of what you're saying.
I mean, there's the thing right there, though, is how do you handle it offline when your daughter is standing next to Erykah Badu? I mean, think about that for a few moments. Yeah. How do we handle this behind closed doors? It's at that point right there. First of all, how do you handle it when your daughter is standing next to Erykah Badu? Second of all, how do you handle it when Erykah is sitting up there saying ain't no problem?
Yeah. No, again, he's in an impossible situation. One point that he did make, he actually retweeted something that I said about it, was the one point that he made is, let's just say this is the first time that you tuned in was to that broadcast, and let's just say you're somebody white listening in for the first time. It almost would sound similar to, or how do you differentiate from what Jesse Lee Peterson or just any right-wing talking point. I think that's the point he was making. And I said, it would be nice if we can make sure that the conversation is 100% in-house, but we got to use the tools that are available to have this conversation.
You know what? No. Let me address that. Okay, let me address that then. All right, now let's just say that somebody tried to play that particular card and say, oh, well, what's the difference between what you all say here and what Jesse Lee Peterson says? Well, first of all, what Jesse Lee Peterson would be doing is kissing white folks' butts and telling you how much better they are.
Exactly.
I didn't mention white people. Oh, slow down, brother. I'm hosting my program. I don't mention white people at all. In this context, I don't make a one-to-one comparison. The only white person I did mention, I mentioned 2 white women that night. Let me rephrase that. I did mention 2 white women, Kim Kardashian and Gisele Bündchen. And I didn't elevate either one of them. As a matter of fact, if anybody wants to know what I had up, did I get rid of it? I did. I removed my graphics. I was making room in OBS. I removed my graphics, but you all remember I had Kim Kardashian going in the discount bin. I had Gisele Bündchen going in the discount bin. Jesse Lee Peterson wouldn't have done that. Jesse Lee Peterson would have said, well, Gisele Bündchen was married to Tom Brady, so because she was married to Tom Brady, that makes a big difference. I didn't do that. Well, Kim Kardashian, she's been married 3-4 times. I didn't say that either. So that would be the difference between me and Jesse. Jesse would try to put a spin on it that says that black folk are just inherently bad, inherently inferior. White people are inherently better. Just pull your pants up and all that buck dancing. That would be the difference. You never heard anything like that here. There wasn't a deification of white people. I can sit here and discuss what we take care of in-house without elevating white folk to this deified position. Say, if you could just be more like Kim Kardashian, you'd be okay. That would be the difference. Jesse would never say those words.
Of course. I just need to the bigger point that Republicans seem to be making these points a lot more than we would say mainstream black media. And I think that's why you're so special to the movement, is because you're bridging both of those, especially with the other channel. And then this channel, that's why I hope he keeps listening. I hope he supports long term. And again, he was just in an impossible situation. I don't know how I would handle this situation other than doing what I do. And I will say that when he was saying that, you not having kids or not being married has any impact on what you're saying, it's not bearing, because you're a parenting tool. You don't know how many fathers or mothers are out there playing your podcast and playing your shows to their kids, saying, this is what you need to listen to. This is your homework.
Certainly, and like I say, that's a point to remember as well. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. I take marriage and having children deadly seriously. You all have heard me say it for over a decade. Having a child is the single biggest, most important decision that you will ever make in your life, because your children come before you. They come before your career. They come before your vocation. They come before your own physical safety. Your children come first. And when you have children, literally everything else gets put on the back burner if it doesn't get knocked off the stove altogether. I take having children deadly seriously. Very, very seriously. I take the D.O.C's daughters and sons very seriously. It's doubtful. You have to give him the edge because they're his biological progeny, but I take their well-being deadly seriously, including all of you. I take your children deadly seriously because they are the single most important decision that could ever possibly be made. The fact that I've been so careful about it shows you how seriously and crucial that decision is to me. I don't take that lightly at all. So the environment, the influences, the way I speak, I had to learn to watch the way I talk around my nieces and nephews. Had gone so much of my life without kids around, and next thing I know, here my brothers come throwing a bunch of infants at me, and then they become toddlers. Now they can speak. Now I gotta start watching what I say. Don't want Uncle Jason introducing them to new words. Because you're forgetting this isn't a 2.5 foot, 3 foot tall person. This is a child. This is not a 3 foot tall adult. This is not a 2 foot tall adult. This is a child. You gonna have to make changes, or we can't leave the kids around Uncle Jason. Uncle Jason's gonna have to change the way he behaves, or it's not a good idea to leave the kids around him. Not because he's evil, not because he's malicious, but because he's not taking proper care. That's what it means to be an adult. Is understanding the value of children. And I take that deadly seriously. Call from area code 910. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Jason. This is Eric from Waldorf, Maryland.
Okay. You say Eric?
Yes, Eric from Waldorf.
All right. Eric, what's on your mind?
So I got a couple points. And one, I have a lot of respect for you, but I gain a lot more on how you gave a master class and how, when we're dealing with icons, how it was just a great experience and a great learning. Number two, do you think there's any way that Erykah Badu, because I got a 16-year-old daughter, so I know I got to talk to her with some bass, or she's gonna look at me like, whatever, dude, go. And number three, do you think Erykah Badu might have gave him a call and be like, hey, you need to say, you can't talk on my behalf because my man's gonna get mad, but take it out on him about our daughter. Apply pressure on him to make sure he got into it, because you could tell he wasn't quite into leaning in on you, but like it was outside interference causing it.
Well, certainly, like I say, I mean, I showed the Instagram pictures there before that clearly he's seen what's some of the things that have been going on, and he made it clear. It was very implicit in what he was saying. It's like, okay, I feel some kind of way about this, so I respect that. He doesn't have to tell me everything that, he's going on with them or everything he said to her or whatever. He doesn't have to tell us everything that's going on. By the same token, you can't blame us for our ignorance if we don't know. By the same token, you don't have to tell us everything that you said to Erykah or anybody else. But by the same token, can we be blamed for our ignorance if we don't even know what's been said or what hasn't been? Because it's like, okay, if he went on the rails about it, they'd be like, oh, okay, we didn't know. That was okay. Well, it didn't. And that doesn't mean that we wouldn't say anything either. It means it's a different discussion. So it does clarify some things in that regard. But no, I don't think, I'm reading between the lines of some of the things he was saying, both printed and on the phone tonight. So no, I don't think that he was 100% kosher on everything that was going on. I think that he was sensitive to the manner in which I spoke about it. He's sensitive to the manner in which, when I talk about bastard baby making, he's sensitive to that manner. That when I say bastard baby makers, that's why it says bastard baby makers. It's a commentary on the parents, not on the children. I've been doing this for over a decade. Folks can't hide behind that because they feel guilty and convicted because they understand this is a commentary on the parents. I articulated that, and then of course he said, well, I mean, the white man's paper, I'm like, hey, marriages existed long before you had European documentation marriage. This existed long before that. And the concept has been the same throughout history. So even if you put that aside, it's been the same throughout history. It doesn't change there. So what's the new argument? Well, if you're going to tell me that it's inconsequential for the man to make a firm commitment to the mother before they have children, I got to part company on that because the prison industrial complex is built on broken homes. It's built on it. And so is everything else. Those things insist on, show me a household where the woman is in charge of the children, and I'll show you a household that's easy pickings. They get knocked off real easy. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 302. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, how you doing, Jason? This is Cuts from Delaware.
Okay, Cuts from Delaware. What's on your mind?
Hey, so basically, I wanted to say great broadcast as usual. Long time listener, first time caller. I'm just like you. I grew up with hip hop on my mind. I'm about 48 years old, and the music of D.O.C. touched me just the same. What I believe happened was he understood where you was coming from, but he was going off the raw emotion because his daughter was involved and he was reacting off raw emotion. But in the back of his mind, he truly understood you. And I think right now we're in the age of, especially for the past 25 years, that people make their arguments based on feelings now. And like the caller, I believe from area code 727 mentioned, our grandmothers used to come down on us with the hammer about certain things, and we understood and we respected it. In my culture, we deal with justice and it's one's reward or penalty based on deeds or actions. And you showed honor and respect, but you stood firm on your point. And I'm going to land my plane, and I appreciate you, and we'll continue to listen.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me get caller from area code 404. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, this is Sophia from Atlanta.
All right, Sophia in Atlanta, what's on your mind?
I just wanted to speak on I'm so thankful for the respectful dialogue that you two gentlemen had. But I think the young lady, this is the age you always talk about, 18, where young women and men, young guys start making decisions about their life choices. This is where it can either go left or it can go right. And I think maybe her father is partially afraid that she may end up like her mom. So that's just my opinion.
Well, I mean, certainly, yeah, that's the concern that we have. That's the concern that we have. She's not a little kid anymore, and we're thinking about, okay, where is this going? And we are concerned about it. So just, you talk about that village raising a child, we're the village. And we're saying, hey, we got concerns about this. As the village, we have concerns about this because we've seen where the mama's been. And if his argument is mom's fine, not an issue, if that's the argument, the village is like, okay, we got an issue. We got an issue. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 901. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, this is Rick from Memphis.
Rick from Memphis, what's on your mind?
Yeah, man, I just want to say I'm so glad for this broadcast. I want to congratulate you on holding the line as being respectful. Unlike, for example, when Kitten Hills had Nicki Minaj on his show, and he has the premier Queen Mother Alien thought in front of him, and he completely folded on everything that he ever said. And and I just want to make that point just to say, that was a master class on how to handle a high profile person and also hold the line on
without becoming a fanboy, without becoming a fangirl, without sacrificing and abandoning your principles so you can be cool with them because you're thinking about the next time you can speak to them, or can they help you do something? No, maybe I can help the doc do something. With some of the stuff he's talking about in Dallas, I'm like, hey, maybe I can help you. So I can be respectful. I can be civil. Because I'm always civil and respectful. I can be civil and respectful, and of course, make sure he's got his place in the bigger picture, and respect that and honor that without sacrificing my principles, without giving that up, by asking the questions, without glossing over it, standing by what you said and the intent of it, and saying, hey, are you sure about that? What about the mathematics on this? About marriage? Oh no, came back off of that. Absolutely not. The prison industrial complex, 7 out of 10 prisoners raised by single moms. Absolutely. I've been doing this for over a decade. I know the numbers on that. At that point right there, like I say, definitely a lot of folk get into this online because they're looking for a TV deal, or they're looking for a radio deal, or they're looking to be in a music video, or they're looking to get mobbed up with celebrities. Man, I've been there and done that. And I'm not seeing this as an avenue to get me to somewhere else. I'm at my destination now. I'm at my destination right now. This is my destination. Being behind this microphone, talking directly to the people, giving them direct access to me after my almost 50 years of experience. That this is my destination. I'm not trying to be, if I can get hooked up with a couple more folks right here, if Future call me, then, maybe I can use. I'm not trying to parlay these into anything else. So what that does is it does give me a certain clarity, but it also gives me a certain authenticity that what you see is what you're going to get, and we're going to hold that. And we're going to stand on it. And that's how you make change, when you can be put in the presence of, very well-known people, known figures, and what you said didn't alter. That's what changes things. I submit to you all that Andrew Tate did more than Kevin did. I'll let you have the last word.
Oh, that's all I got, brother, man. B1.
B1, as always, thank you very much for giving us a call. Now, let me get caller from area code 312. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Al from Chicago.
Pal from Chicago, what's on your mind?
My wife and I was listening to you the other night, and I agree with your approach. My wife kind of had she was kind of offended, but I want to dig a little bit deeper and ask you a question.
Stop, brake pedal. Why? Why was she offended?
Basically, this she just thought it was a little bit harsh the way she's an Erykah Badu fan, which is I am too, but she thought it was a little bit harsh until I explained to her where you were coming from.
Okay, but here's the thing. If I had been talking about Andre 3000, and did she give any? Did she have any critiques or complaints about the way that I spoke about Andre 3000?
Well, when I explained it to her, she came around and we
right.
But
that's not what I'm asking. That's not what I'm asking. That's not what I'm asking. You're saying that she had issues with that because she's an Erykah Badu fan. Got it. But did she have any complaints about what I said about Andre 3000?
No, because you didn't say too much about him, and
I said enough.
She didn't really listen to that. All she could hear was the commentary on Erykah Badu.
Yeah, but I said enough. I didn't have to say an hour's worth of him. I said enough about Andre. So just keep your eyes and your ears open when people have selective outrage. They're kind of letting you know what their principles are.
Right. I have a question for you though. Hello?
Sir, we're short on time. What's your question?
Okay. Do you see any difference between somebody like Big Meech and Dr. Dre?
Do I see a difference between them? In what way? There's a lot of differences.
I'm saying the degeneracy they pushed on our community.
Okay, brother, let me address that question like this. We are victims of a ongoing 1,000-year war against our place in history and the future. We have had stumbling. We built this nation. We built the modern capitalist society, and yet have been disenfranchised from it the entire time. We have been and are legal aliens. So when we're here to get what's owed to us and get our piece of the pie, you got all kinds of artificial obstacles thrown in our way. Now, when we talk about degradation in the community, you know what's degradation in the community, brother? A McDonald's on every street corner. Doesn't matter how black the neighborhood is, there's a McDonald's or a chicken shack not very far away. That's degradation. That's degrading. You got more access to the liquor stores than you do to banks. That's degrading. And we have zero, not a thing to do with any of those. You take a look at the obesity rate. We don't have, those are things that we get plenty of economic support with there. So when you talk about things that degrade the community, and then you say, so, okay, what about, because what you're saying about Big Meech and them, okay, so they were selling some drugs. Okay, the federal government's the biggest damn dope dealer in the world. The Kennedy family, the Bronfman family, who Seagram's gin, they made billions equivalent off of that. They were bootleggers. So it's only when black folks show up, slow down. It's only when black people show up that it's a problem. Brother, look here, Freeway Rick Ross. Okay, they tried to put him in prison for the rest of his damn life for drugs that after he got released, they turned around and legalized. But now that they're legalizing the drugs, guess what they ain't doing? They're not giving those licenses to black people. In California, most of them are going to Armenians. Shout out Kim Kardashian. Now that's degradation. You're in a system that does that. This is systematic. No, I'm not going to. I've said this for over a decade. Hell no. I am not going to sit up here and tell these black men who every damn avenue you go up to, the doors are locked on you. We don't have access to any of the egress these other folk got. I just did a program last night about Elon Musk, Tesla, SpaceX, Solar City, ALL, all of them would not be in business today were it not for the billions in government subsidies that they get. They got subsidies before they even built a plant. So what you have is a white Afrikaner came to America and told the U.S. federal government, hey, give me $3 billion. And they said, do you want cash, check, or money order? You can't name a single black person who's ever been able to do that, and they're just one. Apple out there in Cupertino, California gets the same stuff. Google gets the same thing. Facebook gets the same thing. Twitter gets the same thing. Back when it was Jack Dorsey who owned it, now Elon Musk. You've never seen a black person get that kind of alley-oop. And they've gotten that historically. Where's ours? Okay, so if Big Meech got to move some packages to level the damn playing field, then I say let them packages roll. That's my position. If Too Short got to slang some things to level this damn playing field, then let them things roll. If T.I. got to move some packages to level this playing field, then let them damn things roll. That's my position. That has always been my position. It will always be my position. We are at war and the other side ain't playing fair. They done stacked the deck against us. Nicky Barnes, Frank Lucas, we can name all the names you want to. Name whoever you want to, past, present, or future. Brother, there's a lot of damn degrading things, quote, destructive. There's a lot of that out there. And it wasn't these black men who created it, nor are they even funding it. So if you got an issue, go take the issue up with the white folk who put their albums out. Big Meech did it on his own. Okay, if you got an issue with that, take issue with the system that told them that you can't make $100 million. Take a look at the type of economic innovation those young men had. Why is it that they didn't have this funding in place and the economic base in place to make good on their skill sets and their abilities? These aren't idiots.
So you're saying money washes away immorality.
Sir, I'm saying that if you're making a moral argument and an immoral system, do you hear yourself? You're trying to make a moral argument. Sir, you're trying to make a moral argument in an immoral system. That's a religious argument you're making, not a concrete, logical one. You're disregarding the facts on the ground.
Community, and you participate in that. I mean, you have a choice too to participate in your own destruction. But like you say, if
sir, like how did Dr. Dre destroy his own community? Explain to me how that happened.
I mean,
Stutter.
Before NWA, what's that?
Stutter, stumble.
Yeah, I mean, you...
Go on and finish, sir. You're just going to stumble your way through this. Y'all, he's tongue-tied. That should tell you right there that you don't know what you're talking about, brother. That should tell you right there.
I do know what I'm talking about. I mean, you took the conversation and ran left with it, but it's cool, man. I got you. No problem. Thanks for having me on.
Okay. Y'all dumb Donald called in. Let me tell y'all something right now. Slavery was the most immoral damn thing in the universe, and this nation was built on it, and they don't apologize for it. Immoral, degradation. We didn't have a damn thing to do with it except being exploited. But when it comes time for us to get ours, in the words of Chris Rock, when it's time for us to come up, all of a sudden folks start talking to us about morality. Philip Morris and cigarettes are immoral. He ain't standing outside of R.J. Reynolds' headquarters demanding that they adhere to morality. How you gonna tell the weakest, most impoverished people in the room that they have to be the most moral at their own expense? At their own expense. I'm gonna make a lot of folk mad tonight when I say what I say, but I stand on that. I stand on that. No, I'm not gonna drive Nicki Minaj to Magic City to swing her butt cheeks. But I'm also not going to sit up here and handcuff her hands behind her back and tell her, now you go compete against all those white girls and call me daddy. And all these white girls who YouTube and Google are giving front page space. They don't have to pay for it. They're boosting them in the algorithm, giving them exposure to the tune of millions of dollars worth of free exposure while telling you and me we got to have our hands handcuffed behind our backs. No, I'm not going to say nothing like that. I'm not going to drive her to the strip club, but I'm not going to tell her that she needs to fight with a handicap. These young black men out here ain't got a damn thing given to them. We are the only millionaires in America who legitimately earn ours. Because if you're a black man and don't get it legit, they going to come shut you down. If they have a way to get you, they gonna come shut you down. And by the way, even if you're a dope dealer, you still got to work 5 times as hard as the white dope dealers do. Or the Latinos, or the Asians. When's the last time you all, for those of you in California, the battering ram trucks they had, that they busting in doors with back in the days of NWA, was they busting in the Latinos and the Asians? Why wasn't that truck busting in doors in Chinatown in LA on Cesar Chavez to come clean up the heroin and to come clean up the PCP back in the 80s and 90s and the 2000s? Where are they today? They should have been busting in doors all over Chinatown, but they were all over Compton, South Central LA, up and down La Brea, Figueroa, Crenshaw. But they wasn't busting in the doors for the Asians and the Latinos. They didn't bust in their doors. So even in the drug trade, you got to work 5 times as hard. And then you gonna call me up and say, well, you know, we working on the honor system, man, if you don't jump on your damn donkey and ride your ass out. Welcome to reality, people. I don't operate on faith. Ice Cube has put, do y'all realize how many folk they've helped? How many other black men had opportunities they never would have had? They done fed people, clothed people, set up their own, trying to set up their own businesses. Ice Cube and the Big Three, we can go down the list. They done made movies and everything else. Friday is an institution. You don't get there from here without that. You don't get there from here without Ruthless Records. You don't get there from here. Snoop Dogg owns Death Row Today, at least a major portion of it. You don't get there from here without that. If Big Meech could have made $100 million without having to sling them things, he'd have been doing it. It wasn't there. Guess what? It ain't there now. White folk have locked the damn system down. As Dr. Claude Anderson told us, we ain't got nothing. So when you got some Negro sitting up here making it their job to kiss these folks' asses, I'm just telling you the damn real. These folk ain't fighting fair. They never fought fair. No, I'm not going to stand on the corner with Jim Jones, the rapper, not the preacher, talk about degradation targeting black folk. By the way, because Jim Jones' audience was what? The preacher, his audience was black folk, by the way. Never mind. Marshall Applewhite, another one. Talk about degradation. You got folk out here fighting us dirty? Hell no, I'm going to fight fire with fire. I'm not going to fight fire with paper and prayers. I'm going to fight fire with fire. And if they got to move some weight to level this playing field, then damn it, let it move. We getting the hell up out of here. Let it move. Nicky Barnes, Frank Lucas. I'm saying the names. I ain't talking about rappers anymore now, am I? I'm not talking about rappers anymore. Oh no, I'm about that business. So if I'm going to upset you and alienate you tonight, let's get to the damn alienating. I'm about that business. I'm about that business. I'm about that business. Let me go ahead and clean this up right quick so that there are no illusions about what I got to say right here. My issue is not with Erykah Badu throwing that donkey out there. That's not the issue I got. If she can make $100 million doing it, so be it. That's not my issue. That's not the issue I got with her. If that's what it takes for her to level the playing field against Taylor Swift and Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera and Pink and all the white gals who are going to get given all this extra help, if that's what it takes to level the playing field, let it bounce. I'm from Louisiana. To bounce music, let it bounce. I got an issue with it, but that's not the issue that I have. If y'all just want me to get real about it, that ain't the issue I have. I got another issue. That ain't the one. Don't sit up here and have me with the most impoverished, handicapped people in America and tell us that we have to play by a special set of rules. While Jeffrey Epstein can do whatever. Norfolk Southern can dump a whole damn train full of chemicals and ain't nobody getting arrested and going to jail. Same thing Flint, Michigan. Same thing Jackson, Mississippi. Ain't nobody going to jail. But you telling me that we, the folks who are most disadvantaged, got to play by a special set of rules. Man, I ain't asking none of these brothers how they got their money. I ain't asking nothing. Now, if they have a propensity for people shooting at them, that's a different matter. I'm not going to stand by when something like that might get ready to get kicked off. But as far as how they built what they got, I ain't asking nothing. Because these white folk don't let you question them. These white folk don't let you question. Let me tell y'all something. Do y'all know how many people are dead today behind Del Monte? Now I'm talking about the fruit company. Chiquita Bananas. They're murdering people all over South and Central America. Michelin tires in Liberia with rubber. They talk about Charles Taylor, but they don't talk about Goodyear and Michelin. Why do you think Liberia is the largest rubber reserve in the world? It was made to be that way. And guess who are the only folk ain't benefiting from it? That's not accidental. They getting alley-oops all over the damn place. Hell no, I'm not putting their hands behind their backs and handcuffing them when everybody else is out here playing unfair and then telling us we got to deal with 1/10 the resources and make 50 times the results. Damn that, man. Damn that. They destroying the community. White supremacy is destroying the community. And that's engineered. White folk get given what they need. Asians get given what they need. We sitting up here, what we need is being taken. The Highway Act, gentrification, redlining. Even if we do get something, there's always something in the way to sit up here and stumble us up. Oh, hell no. Hell no. Hell no. Make your money however you got to. If that's the way that Dre had to go to get from being on the streets to owning beats, and I ain't trying to make no bars, if that's what it took, damn it, that's what it took. I blame the government. I blame the white supremacist system for making it essential for Big Meech to have to move some packages. I blame the system for making it where they didn't have any other option. It's not right that Mark Zuckerberg can be handed $200 million. Logan Paul and his brother can be handed millions of dollars by YouTube artificially boosting them. They get handed what they need, and we got to sit here and work like the Hebrew slaves? Oh, hell no. If you can level that playing field, get to it. You put us on the scale with them. If all it takes to level the playing field is dropping a few kilos on our side of that scale, drop it. Caller from area code 205. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, caller from 205 has been abducted. Caller from area code 415. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, caller from 415 is fighting with his receiver. So everybody here tonight apparently is having physical difficulties here. Let me see, I got somebody on Zoom here. What's your name?
Hey, Mr. Black. My name is Eric, calling from Ottawa.
All right, Eric from Ottawa, what's on your mind?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to weigh in and concur with you. There's one phrase that you use with your big channel. That word is uncompromising. I'm calling in from the perspective of a father with daughters. And so when it comes down to raising my daughters, it's very important that they have the right influences. And I just want to say I disagree with the D.O.C. The way he kind of called out their perspective of not having kids. I've been listening to you for years, and I really appreciate what you have to offer. One of the things I use particularly with my kids is consequence mapping, meaning if there's always a consequence for your actions. And so I just wanted to leave it there. I just want to thank you for everything that you do. And I think you're on the right course.
Well, I want to thank you for checking in with this brother here tonight. Please do give us a call again. We appreciate that. And like I say, definitely it's all done with respect. It's all done with respect here. You know, I approach it like if they were my children. What would I do and what would I say if they were my kids? How would I want that? I would want somebody to lay it down. I would want somebody to do that if those were my kids. If I see things not going the right way, I'd want folk to be concerned. And let me be very, very clear. It comes from a place of love. And that includes Erykah Badu. That includes Erykah, by the way. That includes Erykah. Jason, some of your language was a little rough and whatnot. Some of the terminology is a little rough. Is this the one who told Tyrone to come get your S? Come on now, my language is rough. Y'all correct me. I'm not a big Erykah Badu fan, but didn't Erykah say, call Tyrone to come pick up your stuff? I'm using the word stuff. If I'm wrong, somebody call me on and say, Jason, it wasn't like that now. She wouldn't say nothing like that. She's a good Christian missionary. So if I'm wrong, y'all, you let me know. You let me know. If Erykah called me up tonight, I'm not saying she would. Oh, please don't, because I've had about as much as I can take tonight. But if Erykah called me up tonight, if the first word she said is, this is Erykah Badu, well, hello, Miss Badu. Look here, nigga. All right, Miss Badu. I'm going to make another song about Jaden. And another thing, nigga. All right. Would any of you be surprised? So I'm just saying, she's not, she's not a wilting violet. She knows the deal. And I'm talking to her on the level. I'm talking to her on that level too. I didn't tell anybody go boycott her. I didn't say don't buy her music, man. If y'all keep playing it, green eyes yourself right on out. Green eyes yourself right on out. It's all good. I meant every word I said. But if I see something, I'm going to say something. If I see something, I'm going to say something. Let me take caller from area code 856. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
My name is Holly, and I'm calling from New Jersey. I hear what you're saying. I'm a little bit older than you, and all that you're saying about the way the system is the way that it is.
Well, I thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Like I say, brothers from the South had to come to New York and let them know, hey, this is what it is. We had to come from the South and come to New York and let them know, hey, this is how we playing the game. This is how the rules are. I know the situation you're going into is not fair. I'm not going to tell you walk into an unfair situation unarmed. I'm not going to disarm you. If them brothers found a way to make that work, I'm all for it. No, I'm not going to sit on the street corner and slang it with them. I'm not going to drive nobody to the trap house. I'm not going to do that. But I blame the government. I blame the system. I blame all these folk who have maneuvered them into that situation. I blame the source. Because the source gives their children opportunities and basically doesn't allow them to fail. Mark Zuckerberg is a blithering idiot, but he hasn't been allowed to fail. He wasn't allowed to. He wasn't a genius. He was not allowed to fail. Let me tell y'all something. If somebody gives you $200 million to start a business, you should be tarred and feathered if you fail. How the hell can you fail when you've got a $200 million head start? In the case of Elon Musk, how can you fail when you've got a $5 billion head start? But we're going to take the poorest, most disenfranchised, disadvantaged black children. We're going to tell them, oh, you got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Man, look here. I've never done a drug. I've never had a drink of alcohol. I've never smoked a cigarette. I've never had a daiquiri. Don't tell me a damn thing about how black folk make their money when you had a 500-year head start with no rules. Y'all, they could literally grab a black person, throw a shackle on your damn ankle and say, you coming to work for us, 12 years a slave. This was after. After, supposedly, if you're a free man, that won't happen. Don't tell me a damn thing about the rules we're playing by. Not a damn thing when y'all over there ain't got no rules. Let me tell you all something. I work for some of the biggest telecommunication companies on this planet. Some of the stuff that they do is outright illegal, including with the billing process. At AT&T, Verizon, Comcast, there have been class action lawsuits against them because the truth of the matter is many of their billing practices are illegal. But guess what? Ain't nobody caught about taking none of them to jail. Some of you with those messed up bills you have, that's deliberate. No, not just hidden fees. It's because you're charged in advance. For those of you who don't know, take a look at your phone bill, not just your cable bill. Some of you may be familiar with your cable bill. Take a look at your phone bill and your cable bill. Take a look at the dates of billing on them. It's not like your water bill. It's not like your electric bill. When you get a water bill or an electric bill, you get charged for the service you've already used. But that's not the way you get charged for your cell phone service, your telephone service, or your cable TV or cable internet service. You get charged in advance. Go to your bill and take a look at the billing dates. You'll notice that the billing date is a month ahead. If the month is February, you're going to see it says March, not February. So they're charging you up front in advance. Well, here's the problem. What if you change services? What if you're without service? What if you're supposed to get a credit? Next thing you know, it's hell to get your credits for it. In most cases, you won't get it. So they're charging you up front. Now, what they will tell you is, and I worked for them, so this is why I know that this is what they say. What they said is that, well, we're an entertainment service like going to the movies is. So you don't pay for your movie tickets after you watch the movie. You pay for your movie tickets before you watch the movie. The difference is you're a utility, which is why in most states, these telecommunication companies fight to not be regulated as a utility because they want the ability to have all this funny math on their bills. And it's illegal. And they do it every day. It's illegal and they do it every single day. And you gonna tell me about Dr. Dre making an album? Nigga, please. You gonna tell me about Big Meech making it snow at the club? Not making it rain, making it blizzard, making it typhoon at the club, and I'm supposed to get upset and call the moral police? Nigga, please. While you got, what's his name? John McAfee? John McAfee damn buying islands and putting people in indentured servitude and sex slavery and every damn thing else? Jeffrey Epstein? Big Meech didn't have nobody in sex slavery. Hell, he was paying strippers, but they were all willing participants. While you got white men with billions of dollars. You ain't worried about them. You worry about Big Meech. Dan, if you don't fix your phone on Zoom, brother, I'm going to have to drop you, man. You got the phone pointing up at the damn ceiling. Wake up.
You can hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Now you got your phone straightened out. What's on your mind?
I've been tuning in, listening. I think that was a good conversation that you and D.O.C. had, even though, I'm not from that generation. That's, y'all like in my dad's generation. And, but I think he had a hard time accepting the truth of what you were saying, even though now a lot of this stuff is getting called out now. So I think it's a respectful conversation, but at the same time, it definitely is hard to stomach some things, especially about their own parents or their own situation. Even though it could be you made some bad choices down the road, if I could put it to you that way.
Well, definitely, like I say, I'm going to be respectful about it to the extent he respects me. He was very respectful about it. He said what he had to say. He expressed what the issues were, and I understand. It didn't go sailing over my head. I get it. I understand if he will understand that as the leaders in the society, we have a certain set of tools that we have to use in this regard. He's doing what he thinks is in his daughter's best interest. And I'm very glad to hear that. I'm trying to do the same thing. So I will understand that he's doing what he thinks is in his daughter's best interest if he's willing to accept that I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying to do what is in his daughter's best interest as well. That's the way I look at it. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me get, we got somebody named Fivem. Fivem, you're on Zoom. Let's go ahead and make sure we have everything turned on. Otherwise, I'm going to have to remove you. You got your audio on. I'm going to give you a couple of more seconds here, and then we're going to have to move on. Okay, 5 of them is trying to get their life together. Let me get caller from area code 559. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, my name is Martin, giving a call from Fresno, California.
Okay, Martin's fighting with his phone. Try again. Where are you calling from?
Fresno, California.
Okay, Martin from Fresno. What's on your mind?
You make a real good point. Very, very, very good program tonight, and I appreciate it a lot, Jason, what you do. Just giving a shout out for your work. It's amazing. Over the last couple of years, I've just been able to think a lot more clearly, and it doesn't take me as long to really defend when Black people are being attacked. So you made a great point about the economy. I hear a lot of the times that we hear that we're shut out from the economy, and we automatically look at the positive economy, not the negative, or in other words, the underground economy. We're locked out of both, and I know it sounds kind of crazy because you think that we're supposed to be thinking about the good economy, but it's important to note we're locked out of both of those things. The underground and the regular.
It's also important to understand what the definition of an underground economy is, because on my last night's program on my other YouTube channel, I was going into detail about that with Elon Musk. There are all kinds of tax havens and tax avoidance strategies that you can use if you white and got your money together, that if you're Black, probably you can't get it to work. So when we talk about the underground economy, that's how you make your money, but that's also how you protect it and keep it. We don't have access to offshore havens. We don't have access to that. Most of us don't have access to securities-backed loans. We don't have access to that because loans are not taxed. We don't have access to that. So we're going in at a tremendous disadvantage at literally everything that we stare at, and somebody starts preaching to me about morality of it. No, I'm not here for it. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller area code 346. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, Jason. This is Nick from Chicago by way of Houston.
Nick from Chicago. What's on your mind?
Yeah, as far as what you just spoke about was being locked and boxed out of everything, and then getting the D.O.C. I've been told, and I work with companies on the continent. I work with people here. The amount of times I've been told by these white and Asian folks, just do it. When I brought up, hey, this thing doesn't seem to be legal here in the U.S., and that's on the continent, and they're like, don't worry about it. Just do X, Y, and Z. I've been contacted by the SEC for unknowingly having a violation with some things that I've done, and then they were like, hey, it's not our problem. You don't know this. So I had to step up the game from that. And then getting to D.O.C., it kind of made me think, it's like, hey, you know what? He made his good music. He's made some choices when he was younger. He's older. He may have changed his mindset. But then I looked at it. I was like, birds of a feather flock together. Nothing too negative. It was kind of expected, but it was a cordial conversation, and that was good.
Well, definitely, like I say, it's all love. It's all respect. I want people to respect his place in history. I want people to respect his contributions. I want people to respect what he represents. Let me say it like that. I want people to respect what he represents. I don't want you to worship them. I don't want you to deify them, but I do want you to respect what they represent. I want you to respect what Ice-T represents. I don't take his comments personally. I want you to respect what they represent and what they've represented and the examples that it can help you in your life for what you're trying to do. I want folks to respect that as well. So that's why I don't want folks coming at them sideways on the internet and stuff like that. I got it. Y'all are represented. I appreciate it. But beyond that, keep it in its proper context. I'm not telling you to deify them. I'm saying, I hope I made the impression here tonight that nobody's status historically in a genre or as a celebrity, that's not what sways me. Principle is always going to be what I stand by. But beyond that, no, just understand that they're people like anybody else. They're people like anybody else. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. I think that Don is trying to get his life together over there on Zoom. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Don.
You're so funny. Thank you, Jason.
Send her up, Don. Send her up.
Oh, you want me to send her up? Okay.
What's on your mind?
I just felt that it was really important I kind of speak on this topic. I'm 3.5, 4 years older than you, and grew up here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I got in the game, man, jumped off the porch in 1990, and then stepped back a minute, finished my education, got back in the game in 91. I've ran and had the opportunity to mix and meet with a lot of these guys. My company, and then an associate that I had, we did merchandising in industry. So some of these artists we had under contract, some we were just doing some deals with, working with labels and radio stations. And, I can understand what D.O.C., who I've never met, but then a lot of that whole other family, I know. Dre, Cube. I met Cube when he bounced out and was dealing with his people.
Give me the Reader's Digest version, Don. I'm coming up on my time.
I feel you. No, the thing about it is this. I understand the feelings of what D.O.C., where he was. But the deal is this. If it wasn't his daughter, would he be speaking the same way?
I know
so. Your track record. Your track record is this. Your actions and what you do for this community speaks a whole lot louder than the broadcast that you put together every week. And we respect you for that, brother, because you walk your talk. I'm going to land it there.
Well, I appreciate it. I think he would. I actually think he would. I think he meant what he said. I think he would. I think that he's not the same person that he was 19 years old or so back in 89. He's not the same person. And that's good. Don't get me wrong. You should not be the same person at 50 that you were at 19. If you are, there's been a severe failure. So I don't have a problem with that. I said it before. I think that's a great thing. So if it were somebody else's daughter, I think objectively, he's reached a point in his life now where that's who he is. So that's what I was saying. I think in some ways we've become the radicals, and some of these other folks here have become, I don't want to say the conservatives, but they become a little more conservative in the way they do things. So that's where I think we're at right now. As unassuming as that might be, I think that's where we are. I think it's where we are. So we just gotta move accordingly. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight, Don. We appreciate that. We've been on here for almost 3 hours now, so we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. I want to remind you all, if you are new here to the business, we are like a pirate radio station. YouTube has us under a severe shadow ban. But if you're new here tonight, go back to the archive. You go listen to the previous program about Erykah Badu that everybody's talking about now to set this off, and go listen to the programs before that. You get a unique insight and perspective on this that you will get nowhere else. You'll hear things that you will say is, oh, I thought that some of those other people on those other YouTube channels, I thought they created this. You're going to hear a lot that's going to sound very familiar to some stuff you heard on other channels, but we've been doing it way longer, so you have come into contact with the source that all of them got it from. How do you stay up to date? Click that red subscribe button, click that yellow notification bell, join us each and every time that we are here. If you haven't joined our Patreon, the link is in the description. You get to talk to me one-on-one every Saturday. Definitely good to have that as well. And you can see some of the things that people talk about when they bring up my name. I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. Big shout out to the D.O.C. Big shout out to the D.O.C. It's nothing but love. Point blank, period, end of discussion. I get his point. I understand. Nothing but respect to his daughter. No disrespect to Erykah Badu. No disrespect to Erykah Badu. I'm speaking to family here. I'm speaking to family here. Because that's not the D.O.C's daughter, that's our daughter. Let me be very, very clear about that. I'm taking this back to the old days. That's not just his daughter, that's our daughter. And I want to make sure that she's got everything she needs so that she has every opportunity in life possible. That's the standpoint I come at it from for her and for all of you. Not having children of my own has given me a bit more time to help see about yours. And if that's been a heavy price to pay, then I pay it gladly. Not everyone appreciates it. Some people don't appreciate it when you have produced for them, when you produced for their legacy, when you produce for that. Some folks take advantage of it and they're not grateful. I hope I've given you an example of how to stand by your principles and to do what's right, even in the face of those who are not grateful. Your example, what you do, matters more than anything. Stand by it. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of The Business. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black. And until next time, my brothers and all my sisters, our sons and all our daughters from around the world, remember, handle your business or your business will handle you.